Well, I'm hoping at this point everybody can hear me. Apparently, I just been going on the rant. Ain't nobody heard nothing I said, but that's typical of what you get when you come over here. Sometime. Woo! Hallelujah, Jesus. Okay. Well, I'm not going to talk you guys to death. That's what I was just trying to do. Lucky for you, you missed it. So I'm not going to talk you to death. However, we are going to get into the information that we were not able to share with you last night. But just sit back. This is sudden death overtime for the extremists. Now, they continue to call us extremists. They continue to say that those that love the country, the Constitution, the rule of law are extremists. While they're selling us a narrative that somehow now this guy, Donald Trump, is violating the Espionage Act. The list just keeps going on and on and on. You watching the Real Greg Kelly Show? I appreciate you watching the Real Greg Kelly Show. Sudden death overtime. I'll be right back with you.
Feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me.
We're back in the booth. And I'm really hoping that you're prepared to pay attention. Everybody knows what mainstream media is telling us is a line of deep. It's not even hard at this point, right? Feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in. And they act like what we're seeing, even though we all know it has never happened in the history of this country that the FBI, one of the alphabet boys, would raid a former president's residence. They still trying to downplay it and justify it, and still trying to say that, the end justifies the means. He's got some nuclear codes. Does this stuff ever get more absurd? I hope it goes below the threshold, because they done set the bar so high right now, I don't have a clue as to how they're going to pull it back. Nuclear codes. I guess he was supposed to be selling top secret nuclear information to the Russians. Do we have to really guess? The Russians? Maybe the Chinese. Maybe to the highest bidder, but come on, right? The FBI got a little dirt on them. We're going to do a little stroll down memory lane. And let's just see what the FBI has been up to since its existence. Maybe we can get some clarity from Edgar Hoover, the man that weaponized the FBI. He weaponized the FBI. So it's been done before. Yeah, somebody did it before him too. So sit back and check this one out. Get some of this historical information that creates a clearer revelation as to what you're seeing right now. Real Greg Kelly Show. Check this out.
Imagine you're the supreme leader of the Soviet Union. You're thought to be all-powerful, but you have a secret. You are terrified of your own secret police, the KGB. They have recordings of you and your allies cheating on your wives or prostitutes, ordering coups, and committing felonies. You use the KGB to terrorize your enemies, but they have become too powerful. Except, plot twist, this isn't the Soviet Union. This is the United States of America. This is the crazy true story of J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI, America's KGB. Hey guys, I'm Drew. This is a summary of Enemies, a history of the FBI, written by Pulitzer Prize-winning author Tim Weiner. If you want me to make more video book summaries like this, please subscribe. It's 1894. The Prime Minister of France is assassinated by an anarchist. Then, 3 years later, the Prime Minister of Spain is assassinated by an anarchist. Then, 1 year after that, the King of Italy is also murdered by an anarchist. And then, I am not making this up, 1 year after that, the US president is gunned down by an anarchist. It felt to many like civilization was falling apart.
That's because it was falling apart. And listen, I want y'all to give a warm welcome to Taylor May. She out here hanging with me while we go through 4 presidents being assassinated by anarchists. Taylor, show your face just for a second. What's up? I can't hear you if you're talking to me.
Oh, I went down there to unmute myself.
Oh, okay.
How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's having a good night. Looking forward to learning about our corrupt FBI.
And corrupt they are. 4 presidents assassinated in 4 years. Interesting. Let's continue to ride this out. I want you to check out some of the behavior of the FBI.
And this was the world the FBI was born in. You see, before the FBI, if you were the US president and you wanted to take down a criminal, you had to hire private detectives. As president, you mostly hired Pinkerton, the biggest detective agency. But Pinkerton keeps getting hired by the industrialists, and they always end up shooting too many of those pesky union workers. And well, they're making you look bad. But Teddy Roosevelt wanted to go after his enemies. So, he asked Congress for permission to make a secret investigative force that would answer only to him and not Congress. Congress was like, no way, dude. That sounds like you're trying to create a secret police. Those are not good for democracies. But Teddy Roosevelt ignored them and secretly siphoned money away from the Justice Department to create one anyway. So, it turns out the FBI has been doing mass surveillance for a very long time. The first one we know of began in World War I, when the FBI rounded up 1,500 radicals and threw them in jail, declaring them spies. Except, it turns out, not one of them was actually a spy. They were just anti-war activists.
Now, Taylor, does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it kind of does. It definitely kind of does. I think that we're living it.
So these guys weren't really activists. They just didn't like what was going on, exercising what right? First Amendment.
That's right.
Right? 1917? Very interesting. Very interesting. It gets even more interesting. 1917. Snuffing people out.
And their only crime was publicly speaking out against World War I. Back then, Americans were so freaked out about German spies, huge vigilante groups emerged. With 100,000 members. They roamed the streets in posses, breaking into the houses of suspected radicals and beating them up. Again, this is happening in America. But of course, the FBI rounded these vigilantes up and threw them in jail, right? Nope. Actually, the FBI teamed up with them to break into union offices and homes and throw the union leaders into jail. So why were the union leaders jailed? Spying for the enemy, perhaps? Nope. Just for being anti-war. Even the New York Times called them agents of Germany. Can you imagine the New York Times today encouraging the FBI to throw union activists into jail for being against the Iraq War, calling them agents of Iraq? Also, J. Edgar Hoover was the director of the FBI and really hated communists, so he arrested over 10,000 people he thought were communists. Except, later, we learned that most of these people weren't actually communists at all, or they had attended.
Okay. They weren't activists at all. 10,000 people arrested, suspectedly being radicals. Suspected. No proof. Threw them in jail. Nah, we're going to team up with them. Infiltration.
So what happened to investigating? Like, how did they get this wrong? Or is it their intention?
I believe it was their intention. I think it's obvious. It's their intention. It was their intention then. And they have very similar intentions now.
Agreed.
And I'm only doing this little snippet here because for far too long, people have been misled and deceived by the media. It accelerated starting in 2016, but just overall, people have been misled. And that's the purpose of us being here, tonight, talking about these types of things, because there are people in this country that really think that what the FBI is doing right now is okay, and it's legal, and it's lawful, and it's justified, and it's not.
I remember watching shows growing up, and everybody always looked at the FBI as the good guys. Everybody, looked at them as basically those that protect our country just as much as the military and just as much as the police, which that's not the case.
It's not the case right now. And again, for far too long. We're looking at something that's taking place 1917. I wasn't even thought of. I wasn't a blur. My pops wasn't even alive. So, yeah, but before we ever got here, this is already happening. And I just want people to see how the actions of old and the actions of now have a distinct correlation. They connect.
That they do.
But you would know that if you didn't know, hey, this has happened before. Nothing new under the sun. And that's what we're looking at. And that's why we're looking at it. But keep checking this out, because when it gets down to, President Hoover, well, FBI Director Hoover, some of the actions that he took back in his day, were tyrannical. Taking place right here on American soil, tyrannical. And people sweep it under the rug. Most people don't even know what happened. But we're going to see. Check it out. If I can get faster with this thing, I'll be good.
One meeting. Imagine the FBI breaking down your door and throwing you in jail because you attend a meeting. Again, it bears repeating. This isn't the Gestapo or KGB. This is the FBI. Remember, these so-called communists weren't political revolutionaries that were trying to overthrow the US government. They were like guys with union jobs who wanted crazy things like Sundays off. Hoover saw communists everywhere and wiretapped just about everyone. But he didn't stop at wiretapping. The FBI broke into homes and offices to plant bugs, and even wiretapped Supreme Court justices. That is not a thing you want your police doing in a democracy. It got so bad, the Attorney General said that the FBI was like the Gestapo. Hoover's boss was literally comparing him to the Nazis. Hoover went wild, wiretapping congressmen, senators, diplomats, and more. He even hired safecrackers and lockpickers to break into officials' offices. The FBI later became famous for their black bag jobs. Hundreds of FBI agents listened in on telephone conversations day and night. Was there any legal justification for this? Well, America was at war, and extraordinary times call for extraordinary measures, as they say. Except, America has been at war ever since. Truman, now president, hated Hoover, who was now so powerful, he just flat out ignored the president. His boss is boss. Yet Truman never fired him, or even criticized him publicly. Think about that. The president of the United States was so afraid of the head of his secret police, he couldn't even criticize him, much less fire him. It was a dangerous time for America's democracy. And what was Truman afraid of? We wouldn't find out until 30 years later. Hoover was so paranoid about the communists that in 1959, in New York alone, the FBI had over 400 agents investigating the communist threat, yet only 4 agents, 4, were investigating the mob. And as the Cold War intensified, Hoover grew even more paranoid.
Hold on. 4 agents on the mob, right? 400 agents on the communists. Now I understand the communists bad, but the mob was pretty rough too. Just 4 agents. That's hilarious to me. But anyway, let's just say the FBI has had their hands in some real dirty situations long before now. And if you knew that about the FBI, you really wouldn't think that it's kind of above their pay grade to be involved in some shady business. Not saying that they are, but they could be. Can anybody hear what I'm saying? Am I talking to myself?
I hear you. I hear
Okay,
you.
I'm just making sure because I don't know. I might be muted again.
Oh no.
You know how that go.
I think you're onto something right there with only 4 on the mob, 400 on the communists, and now if you think about it, the FBI is enabling communism, and they're taking out anyone who's against it. So there is a lot of similarities, and we never know their agenda because they can't tell the truth.
No, they struggle with that one. But they always seem to leave a long trail of evidence of what the end game is. They always seem to leave a trail, and it has something to do with total control.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes down to them guys, they want to control how many pair of underwear you have in your drawer. You know, having too many pair of underwear may be detrimental to the climate. I mean, who knows what they'll make a detriment to the climate? You might have too much toilet paper. But that's just the type of nonsense they own. We got about 7 minutes left in this video, and it just goes deeper into some of the underhanded activity of the FBI. And again, I'm not here to judge the FBI. I'm just saying, but this is just information that is out there available to the public. And, and I wish a lot of others would say, well, let's find out what the FBI has been up to for the last 100 years. 1917, that was my math somewhere. I'm somewhere in the ballpark. It's a little longer than 100 years, but it's been pretty underhanded. Let's keep watching this clip here.
Commies were everywhere. He was sure that the Soviets were behind the civil rights movement, and thus began Operation COINTELPRO, aka Operation Spy on all the people Hoover thinks are commies, including gay people, black people, union workers, and anybody who thought the Vietnam War was bad. Hoover even spied on Martin Luther King Jr. The FBI broke into his hotel rooms and bugged his conversations. They had recordings of parties that ended in the unmistakable sounds of sex. In other words, they caught a minister and the leader of the civil rights movement cheating on his wife. If these recordings got out, that would be bad. So, to put an end to this dangerous commie civil rights movement, America's Defenders of the Public Safety sent an anonymous letter to MLK, telling him they would leak the recordings unless he killed himself.
Okay, I gotta say this. So Hoover thought, hold on, this can't be right, but it is right. So Hoover thought that Dr. King and his book, that was communism. I don't even know how you get that confused.
Okay, 400 agents on the communism. I don't really know he knew what communism was.
Yeah, somewhere either he was lying about being terrified of the communists, or like you said, he didn't have a clue. But the civil rights movement being viewed as a communist movement is a bit it's really disconnected. I mean, there's no way you can misconstrue those two things. I mean, if you know what communism is, and like you said, he may not have known, but he clearly got it wrong. I mean, if he thought that Dr. King was a communist, then clearly he didn't know what communism was. However, this is what he was doing to these people, using the FBI and they called it the secret police, using the FBI to spy, plant bugs, pretty much to set up, staking sites. And so they're watching these people, tracking them, because they were somehow a threat to the establishment in every instance. The FBI.
Isn't that an invasion of privacy? Like,
it is. Absolutely. And it seems like, again, something that is repeating itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't say that. YouTube. I didn't say anything like that.
Hey, Alexa's listening.
Yep, your video did.
MLK said, then won the Nobel Peace Prize. That didn't stop Hoover. He was cartoonishly racist and didn't even pretend to hide it. When Bobby Kennedy, JFK's attorney general and Hoover's boss, asked him to prosecute the KKK, Hoover ignored him. In fact, not only did he ignore him, but he actively tipped off the KKK and the local police about the Freedom Riders' locations. The Freedom Riders were civil rights activists fighting to end segregation in buses. So Hoover was actually helping the same guys that lynched little black kids and bombed churches full of black people. Then, LBJ became president. And like Hoover, he also hated communists. So they became besties. LBJ also hated the KKK though, and he asked Hoover to take him down, just like Bobby Kennedy did. Except, this time, Hoover actually did it. He used the same tactics he had used to infiltrate the communists, and he crushed them. Hoover's spies quickly penetrated every level of the KKK, and went wild accusing other Klan members of being snitches or double agents, and well, basically did everything they could to cause chaos. The FBI offered millions to any KKK members who would snitch, and it worked. The FBI learned the KKK had penetrated deep into local and state law enforcement, and they controlled vast swaths of the Deep South. The FBI bribed state police, who were also Klansmen, to plant bugs and wiretap their fellow Klansmen. These same agents carried out black bag jobs to steal membership lists and literally blew up Klan supplies with dynamite. Hoover's men found that in one Mississippi county, every single law enforcement official was part of the KKK. Every one. The FBI penetrated so deep that one agent reported there'd be a Klan meeting with 10 people there, and 6 of them would be reporting back to us the next day. It was one of the most successful intelligence operations of all time, and the KKK never recovered. It bears repeating that Hoover had the power to do this the entire time, but chose not to. Now, over the years, Hoover's wiretaps had recorded many prominent Republican congressmen having sex with prostitutes. If that information got out, it could guarantee the Democrats a win in the 1968 election. Hoover offered the dirt to his fellow commie-hating buddy, LBJ, but he wasn't running for office anymore. So LBJ offered it to Bobby Kennedy, who was running. But Bobby Kennedy was like, dude, what? I don't want to win that badly. That would completely destroy the public's confidence in the US government. Keep in mind, this was information Hoover was sharing on a whim with LBJ. Imagine what other dirt he probably had, and who he might have been blackmailing. So, as the Vietnam War protests heated up, Hoover was certain it was those damn commies again. He sent hundreds of FBI agents out to infiltrate pacifist movements across the country, and they used the same tricks they had used to sow discord inside the American Communist Party and the KKK. Although, hilariously, some of these agents liked their new lives as hippies so much, they left the FBI and never returned. Then, Hoover went after the Black Panther Party, because obviously black people were all commies too. His spies penetrated to the highest levels. And then, Hoover went after gay people in the US government, because gay people were obviously all commies too. Then, Hoover himself got hoovered when the world's ballsiest left-wing group pulled a black bag job on the FBI itself. They broke into an FBI office and stole over 800 documents. Hilariously, the FBI didn't even think to have a security system, because who the hell would be crazy enough to rob the FBI? The activists slowly leaked the FBI's documents to Congress. This is the reason why we know about COINTELPRO today. Congress was pissed and told Hoover to knock it off, or else. So he did, kinda. Hoover immediately ordered all wiretaps to cease, right before going in front of Congress. So he could say, "Oh, little old us, we aren't wiretapping anyone." Meanwhile, the Vietnam War was a disaster, and Nixon was desperate. Like past presidents, he pressured Hoover to get some sweet dirt on his enemies. But this time, Hoover, who was well practiced in ignoring orders from the so-called most powerful man in the world, was actually kind of worried about Congress, so he refused. Nixon and Hoover were no longer friends. "Fine," said Nixon, "I'll create my own secret police to spy on my enemies." And so he founded CREEP, the Committee to Re-elect the President. And yes, they actually referred to themselves.
Holy oh, is this unreal? This is creep.
That's kind of unique, if you ask me.
Holy smoly. I
They
need to eat a
use
stromboli. Creep? You have got to be
I've
kidding
never heard of creep before.
me. You have to be kidding me.
I secretly want to Google.
Creep.
And they do exist. Well, they did exist.
I have a little theory, and not necessarily on the creep, but so what have we learned from Democrats, liberals, progressives, all of them? What have we learned from them? They always project what they're doing on us. The only way it even makes remote sense about him going after the communists, when clearly those were communist groups, is the projection that I'm not a communist, so I'm going to go after the communists. Which in return is he going after the Republicans?
That was my point. I don't know what Hoover was thinking about. The brother has some serious definition. He messed up somewhere. But again, the playbook is the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different players now. Same playbook though. And that's been what that's been right at the top of what I've been talking about from the very beginning since I started this last little series here. It's about, this is what they're doing in real time. But it's from the days of old. They're just executing it at a higher level. So they've tried and failed plenty of times. They got plenty of experience in losing. And, the political rivals of the Democratic Party are under siege. But we're going to get into all that. This is almost over, but creep though. That was epic.
That was good.
That's epic.
Creep.
On the creep.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't say it. Y'all remember that. It wasn't me.
No, you did not.
Nope.
As CREEP, which is hilarious. CREEP got caught breaking into the Watergate, and Nixon got impeached. So how did the press find out about Watergate? Turns out the FBI was the one who leaked the story. The leaker, Deep Throat, was a top FBI official. This was the exact kind of thing past presidents worried about, and why they never wanted to piss off Hoover. But Hoover died a few years back. The new director was afraid the FBI might be shut down by Congress if it didn't clean up its act. So he began winding down COINTELPRO. They reassigned agents to focus on ordinary criminals. In 1976, the FBI raided itself and found a stash of 25 volumes of Hoover's secret files where he admitted to all these crimes. Congress decided that it was time to neuter the FBI. They sent FBI veterans to jail. The wiretapping stopped. For a while. A new FBI dark age set in. The FBI was so incompetent and overwhelmed that in 1992, an Al-Qaeda informant literally told the FBI that radical Muslims were planning to blow up the World Trade Center. But the FBI not only ignored him, they actually dropped him as an informant. They had 10 years of advance notice on 9/11. And not only did they have an informant, they had an actual diary of a radical Islamist that contained specific plans to blow up the World Trade Center. But they didn't even read the diary. It was sitting in a drawer for years because they only had one translator in the entire department that could speak Arabic. The FBI assigned hundreds of agents to investigate Bill Clinton's sex scandal, while only a couple were looking into Al-Qaeda. Think of how messed up that is. It gets worse. In 1998, the president received a briefing that Osama bin Laden planned to hijack 747s and fly them into the Twin Towers. Clinton's anti-terrorism had ordered all 56 FBI offices to investigate, but most of them ignored him. It's almost laughable. I mean, one FBI agent uncovered proof that the suspected terrorists were literally taking lessons to fly Boeing 747s. Imagine ignoring that piece of evidence. So, by now, we've seen how dangerous it is to let our secret police wiretap anyone they want. And this is why the Patriot Act is so controversial. It gave the FBI many of the same powers that they had in Hoover's time. But now, they don't even have to break into your house anymore. Snowden showed us how the FBI, NSA, and other agencies were reading our emails, listening to our phone calls, and even watching us on our webcams. Of course, we need to stop the bad guys, but today's secret police can sometimes become tomorrow's military junta. Hey guys, this is my 4th video ever, and it took me over a month to make. So if you'd like me to make more summaries like this, please subscribe. And check out the book Enemies in the description.
Well, so much for the FBI. Y'all watching the Real Greg Kelly show. I got Taylor made it look like Nick over there.
Yeah.
Look like it. I might be wrong. Let me see. Yeah, that's who that is. So, I mean, what do you say to that, right? I mean, all of this information documented. You can go look it up yourself. You can find it. It's easy. Documents. FBI did a lot of crazy, outlandish things. Nobody went to jail. No, look, nobody went to jail. Not one person went to jail. Not one. I mean, gosh. Does anybody ever go to jail from on that side?
No.
How do they
No, they
be the
don't.
ones to hold us accountable when they can't hold themselves accountable? That's
Man. But staying in line, I was actually going to show a clip about Malcolm, but don't even need to because it's not a rumor. Inspiring minds, people that have investigated the life and the death of Dr. King and Malcolm X have all concluded unequivocally the FBI had their hand in the bucket. So, but I just wanted to set the stage because the FBI don't have no boundaries. They've never really had any boundaries. And we clearly know, I mean, at this point, there's no way any American does not know, or at least see, they may not be willing to admit it. But this is a witch hunt. How in the world can one man sustain such an onslaught of attacks? I mean, from every single direction for the last 6 years, nonstop,
and still standing.
and still standing. Like, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. I mean, can a man take a breather, please?
I'll tell you what, though. He's
Huh?
I'll tell you what, though, he's got them shaking.
Yeah. I mean, but he's had him shaking from day one and it never made him back off. Never made him back off. And it's just like, man, can a man take a break? But listen, we're going to take one more sneak peek at some other FBI information that's more current and just see if you see any similar behavior patterns. Just tell me if you see any. This is not new conduct going into people's homes. It just looks like maybe they stacked the deck a little bit on the individual that they chose. But we all know why. We should at least have an idea now by, why. Political rivals? It's open season. That's what it looked like to me. Does it look that way to anybody else? I don't know, but it looks like if you have any dissent toward the opposing party, you could end up on that list that they have. Rumor has it they have a list.
What list?
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Some kind of list of bad people. Just bad people.
I don't know about that at all.
Oh, yeah. And you know who they consider the bad people, right?
The Patriots.
Yeah. We the bad people.
Of course.
So
Red.
Yep.
gotta try to stay off that damn list.
Fuck that list.
Okay? It's gotta stay off the list.
Mhm.
Revolver News dropped something real hot. Check it out. You're watching the Real Greg Kelly Show.
Darren Beatty of Revolver has news that is inside information that the FBI knows a lot more information about who the supposed January 6th pipe bomber really was and really is, other information, and they're hiding that information. And the question is, why would they be hiding that information? It was always sort of weird, the whole dynamic of those pipe bombs that never went off. They're easily discovered, that they couldn't find the person, they couldn't connect it to who it was. There was a lot of inferences that maybe it was an inside job or someone who was an informant, someone who was an instigator, someone who was an infiltrator, someone who was on an FBI payroll directly or indirectly, as many in the Whitmer entrapment plot disclosed.
We're finding these sabotage devices too easily.
Exactly. I mean, it reads like PatCon Part 2.
Okay, before we even go any further, did this man just say something like somebody was on the FBI payroll? Did he just say something like maybe the FBI had infiltrated something? Did I hear that correctly? Something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that. So in other words, there's an FBI agent got his nose somewhere that it probably don't belong. Somebody's probably paying him a lot of money to do it, and they collected information, and then it gets, it finds its way out of the laboratory. Once again, people really got to be careful because, the whole FBI infiltration scheme is real today. And we're going to take a real good look at it right now.
Robert Barnes co-hosting with me, your host, Alex Jones. Wanted to get into January 6th. Big article up on Gateway Pundit. Ray Epps recruited me. Political prisoner writes tell-all letter from prison about his experience with the notorious operative Ray Epps that they won't touch. And now we've got more January 6th info breaking.
Yes, Darren Beatty of Revolver has news that is inside information that the FBI knows a lot more information about who the supposed January 6th pipe bomber really was and really is, other information, and they're hiding that information. And the question is, why would they be hiding that information? It was always sort of weird, the whole dynamic of those pipe bombs that never went off. They're easily discovered, that they couldn't find the person, they couldn't connect it to who it was. There was a lot of inferences that maybe it was an inside job or someone who was an informant, someone who was an instigator, someone who was an infiltrator, someone who was on an FBI payroll directly or indirectly, as many in the Whitmer entrapment plot disclosed.
We're finding these sabotage devices too easily.
Exactly. I mean, it reads like PatCon Part 2. I mean, it goes all the way back to after the end of the Cold War. The FBI needed an excuse for surveillance and big budgets. And so their excuse was, we're going to create a militia movement in the United States. It's going to be called PatCon. We're going to infiltrate existing organizations, recreate it. Ended up with informants and infiltrators connected to Oklahoma City. Cover that up for the better part of a decade and a half.
And when they couldn't get militias to do it, they infiltrated motorcycle gangs and led them to order them to do it.
Exactly. And this goes back
Viper militia.
Precisely. I mean, they did it at multiple levels, and it looks like they're recreating it all over again, redoing it all over again, not only with the bogus domestic terrorism charges, as FBI whistleblowers have exposed, that they're trying to dummy up fake cases that don't exist, or that do exist, but not as domestic terrorism cases, or in the other context, now we're seeing everything related to January 6th. They've hidden all the video, 14,000 hours of video, almost all of it hidden from public view. What's on that video? And now, according to Darren Revolver, there's inside information that reveals and discloses they know a lot more than they're telling the world about who that person was. And this comes on the news that the Defense Department was up to something they were so scared about. They did what the Secret Service did after the John F. Kennedy assassination and what Hillary Clinton did when she was caught, delete. So major problems and questions of corruption in the FBI that continue to get out to the public.
Well, I just want to thank you for being here and the great crew keeping us on air. 28 years, folks, and now we're halfway into 2022, and it's only you, the viewers and listeners, and your prayers and support to keep us on air. So think about how critical InfoWars is today to how many things we've done. We are writing the talking points to challenge the globalist here. Our information is being picked up everywhere. Our information is more important than ever. So thank you for your word of mouth. Share the articles and videos more than ever. Please buy the products at InfoWarsStore.com, and please spread the word about the broadcast. It's so critical.
No doubt. Make yourself healthier, well.
Listen, man. Alex Jones is so funny. When he started pitching, man, it cracks me up. But the information is, Revolver News dropped that article, and people on the left went nuts. Literally went nuts. I wouldn't be surprised if Revolver News headquarters got raided by the FBI after that one right there.
That's a conspiracy.
Right. You can't say it's a lie because, history, it just reveals that they have a play scheme, and they'll just keep repeating it over and over and over again because it's been so effective. It's the exact same model of activity from 1917 in the 30s, Hoover in the 48 with Nixon. Well, that was later. Earlier. But it still plays out the same way. It would be different if the scheme looked absolutely different. You could feel like, okay, well, maybe that's not, but these are the exact same moves.
You'd think at the time, if it wasn't working, they'd switch the game up a little bit.
Yeah. I think they bit off more than they can chew. They probably rode his opponent a little too long. His opponent going to walk with a limp. But the truth is, they've done it so often. Like, they hit Donald Trump with everything from every angle. We watched it from the very beginning. And, witch hunt after witch hunt after witch hunt. He leaves, goes away, goes to Mar-a-Lago. He's doing his thing, politically outside of the White House. And then now they're at his door. We don't have to assume at all, not in the slightest bit, that the extreme left are not playing fair ball. They know Donald Trump is a serious threat to their authority and power. They have not hidden that, right? There's been an assassination attempt 6 years ago. Hollywood saying they want to kill him. It's just been an onslaught of accusations and attacks, bogus lawsuits, you name it. It's been happening all across the board. And there's one more. And for anybody to believe that this is genuine and authentic and that he's got some secret nuclear codes and information he's going to sell to the Russians, something is seriously not right with your brain. Oops, probably should have said that. I might be violating YouTube's rule, but but you get what I'm saying? Like, this is absurd. The level that they're trying to take this to.
And there's so many discrepancies. That's what I meant to say. In this whole little raid, that now they're trying to redefine raid. FBI doesn't like to be called raid. They were executing an operation. But, down from, they came in June 3rd. FBI was there. He was cordial, cooperative. Why did they say just put it up? And then they knew what was there and knew where it was. And then the warrant got signed. They waited 3 days because they knew that he wouldn't be home. And then they have to go in with a bang like that so they can have it for the cameras.
You got to throw some fire on where you're telling people there's smoke. If you know what I mean? There ain't nothing going over there, but you're telling them it's smoke, so you go plant some fire. In other words, it was already there. And it's a setup. It's another one of those tactics. But before we get into this, I want to show y'all something that Brooke said, brother. Trump 2024, courtesy of Brookford, Bama. Thank you, sis. Had somebody ask me, why are you a black man? Got on a Trump shirt. If you only knew. All right, coming up. Just a little bit more information. The FBI, again, has always, had its hand in unbelievably dirty activity. Unbelievably dirty activity. And unbelievably consistently, if that makes any sense, it all somehow ends up swept under the rug. Nobody go to jail. And then they get the opportunity to tell the whole world that the people that are on the opposite side of the political spectrum are committing the atrocities, when it's actually them. It just looks like a common thread, something they're going to continue to use, if you ask me. And I'm just praying to God that America is not asleep at the wheel and buying this trash. Can I get
Hey,
Amen.
man, woman.
Okay. So now the FBI, we're going to get into the IRS too. But what about the attack on the First Amendment right now? I want to show you, for the people that think that the FBI and, the CIA and the court system are playing fair ball, I want to show you what a judge told Alex Jones in court. This is going to make you laugh, okay? Because this is the American justice system telling somebody that they cannot say whatever the judge tells them that they cannot say, and that whatever he is saying is a lie, and he can't say it. So he can't defend himself. He can't say he bankrupt. She got a whole laundry list of things that he cannot say, absolutely obliterating his First Amendment right. Right on camera. Right on camera. This is going to make you laugh. You watching the Real Greg Kelly Show. I got Taylor Made hanging out with me, graveyard shift, in the cockpit of truth. Check this out.
For less than 20 minutes, Alex Jones questioned the official narrative of the Sandy Hook school shooting because for the so-called truther community, that was the big story. And so he did his job and covered the story, just like he's done for the other 1.8 million minutes of his career. Alex Jones has been questioning the official narrative of the corrupt mainstream media and exposing the authoritarian cabal hiding in the shadows for 28 years. And over time, this revival of truth has grown into millions worldwide. Alex Jones expanded his broadcast by selling a line of products focused on healing from the toxic world of a corrupt system, which has allowed InfoWars to remain a free public broadcast to combat the dangerous lies of the mainstream media. In 2018, with zero evidence of their wild claims, a George Soros-funded lawsuit was filed against Alex Jones and InfoWars. 4 months later, Big Tech removes InfoWars from the internet. We were meant to be destroyed 4 years ago, but thanks to an awakened audience that cares about the truth, the InfoWars signal has only grown stronger. And now they are no longer hiding the fact that they are standing on the graves of dead children and using their grieving parents as a political weapon to silence all of alternative news media.
I ask that with your verdict, you not only take Alex Jones' platform that he talks about away, I ask that you make certain he can't rebuild the platform. That's what matters. Take him out of this discourse, of this misinformation, of this peddling of lies, and make sure he can't do it again. Alex Jones is patient zero for our society's inability to speak without lies. He is patient zero for alternative facts.
And according to Judge Gamble, acting like O'Brien straight out of George Orwell's 1984, the judge decides what is true.
You may not say to this jury that you complied with discovery. That is not true. You may not say it again. You may not tell this jury that you are bankrupt. That is also not true. You're already under oath to tell the truth. You've already violated that oath twice today in just those two examples. It seems absurd to instruct you again that you must tell the truth while you testify. Yet here I am. You must tell the truth while you testify. This is not your show. Do you understand what I have said?
Yes, I believe what I said was true. So I don't.
Yes, you believe everything you say is true, but it isn't. Your beliefs do not make something true. That is what we're doing here. Just because you claim to think something is true does not make it true.
There's going to be a large set of plaintiffs who are going to be dividing up the corpse of InfoWars in the bankruptcy estate.
The decision to terminate the InfoWars broadcast is not in the hands of this crooked cabal. It is and always has been the will of our audience that decide our fate. The InfoWars audience has mobilized and awakened the world to the threat that is globalism. And with your continued support, we will keep going. Join us now and support the InfoWar.
All right, we're back. We are back. So Taylor, oh my Lord. I mean, you talk about First Amendment, the First Amendment being under attack. What in the world was that?
You can't decide who has the First Amendment or not.
Oh my God.
And where'd that judge come from?
Huh?
Where'd that judge come from?
I have no idea where she's from, but I know she looks like that Governor Whitmer's sister. She's just a little on the heavy side.
Can I stop for a second and say something?
Yeah.
Just a little off topic, but Nick just got some news about her father, and it's a little more serious than we thought. So can we just keep him in our prayers?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow.
He's going to need a triple bypass. And they don't even know if he's a candidate for it yet.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Hey, look, everybody, let's lift up Nick's father, man. Keep him in your prayers tonight. Keep him in your thoughts tonight.
Thank you.
Lord, we know you know best. We just ask for your hand and mercy, Lord. That's what we ask you. Ask for your healing in Jesus' name. Yes, right, man. Look, let's keep him up. What's his name?
Ronnie Kirby.
Ronnie. Yeah, let's keep Ronnie in our prayers tonight. Let's keep him in our thoughts, even throughout this stream.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
That's right. Yeah, this is how we keep the bond together, y'all. Yep, family that pray together, stay together. It's all right. Nick, we love you, girl.
Love you. Love you all. Thank you.
Hey, Taylor, if you need to go, you're welcome to go, sis.
No, you're good.
I asked her. She said, I'm good.
All right. Listen, the only way to beat these globalists, the only way to put them in their place is to tell it just like it is. Right in their face. Do not keep quiet. Do not keep silent. That's how we win. I'm going to show y'all the realest move ever made in the United States history in a courtroom. I don't care what you think about Alex Jones. Alex Jones is a boss. Straight up OG. Straight up OG. I don't care what color you are, where you come from. When you see this right here, you're going to have mad respect. This is what you do when you confront it with a bunch of nonsense and you know the truth. I mean, straight out of Compton. OG. Alex Jones. Yeah. Yeah.
On your show is your allegation that government officials are aiding in pedophilia, child trafficking, and the grooming of children, right?
What do you mean, like what Jeffrey Epstein did with the Clintons?
No.
Is your allegation that government officials are aiding in pedophilia, child trafficking, and the grooming of children, right?
What do you mean, like what Jeffrey Epstein did with the Clintons?
Oh my God, man. That is my shot right there. I hope y'all enjoyed that. But that's how you beat them. You put it right in their faces, man. Best clip ever. You know, that's the best ever. He is officially stamped in the OG Hall of Fame, man. After that one.
And he said that with the straightest face.
Yeah, he did.
Ice cold straight. I mean, didn't bend, didn't blink, didn't break. I don't even think he was breathing. He just hit him. I'm like, yeah, yes. But that's what you do when they coming at you, man. You can't bow. I mean, he just spit it at him. You mean like what Jeffrey Epstein did with the Clintons? Their faces was like, no, he didn't. I know he didn't just say that. Totally hit him, blindsided him with that one. But it's like, who did they think they were dealing with? I mean, he'd been firing shots at these people for 28 years. He thought he was going to clam up in court. See, that's what they want us to do. They want us to be scared. Anyway, I'm about to go crazy. But that's my clip. That's it right there.
You pieced that together?
No, I got that one from InfoWars.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
The other night, I saw it the other night, and that was the first time. But
yeah, I got that one from InfoWars. But anyway,
and he still got more cases that he has to go to court for. So
yeah,
they don't never know what he's gonna say.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, at some point, you got to realize what you're dealing with. You got to realize what you're dealing with. Who you dealing with? Because if they thought he was gonna be shook, they definitely had him confused.
He said he's not quitting. He said he's going down with the ship.
I mean, that's what he said.
Yeah.
That's what he said. But shout out to Alex Jones, real OG in my book. You're watching the Real Greg Kelly Show. Got Taylor Made with me. We're going to keep Ron. Where am I at with the name? Am I off?
Ron, yes.
We're going to keep Ron in our prayers. In this next segment, what we're going to check out is just how this whole IRS thing got started. Whose idea was, the roots of it, how it's going to play out here in society. So we do want to get into that because that's very important. A lot of people are alarmed about it. I've talked to a lot of family members. They're, a little shook about it. And it could affect everybody if this plays out the way, the extreme left wanted to play out. But it's worth looking at. I just want to inform the people. That's what I do here in the cockpit. And it's a blessing to have Nick and Taylor in the cockpit. And again, we're going to keep Ronnie in prayer tonight. Keep him in our thoughts. We're going to keep mentioning his name. we're going to keep saying prayers. And we're going to ask the Lord to be who he is. You're watching the Real Greg Kelly Show. I'll be right back here in a hot second. Buckle your seatbelt. This is going to be a doozy. All right, buckle your seatbelt. Y'all heard it here first. Stay tight.
That black sedan's been parked there for 2 days.
Under my predecessor, the great MAGA king.
Meanwhile.
Bing, pow, boom.
We did it. We did it, Joe.
Wow. Oh my God.
Empty. After all this shit is empty.
You may fold under questioning.
Woo! Taylor, look, that stuff, it cracks me up, girl.
He was dancing in that empty safe. It's empty. They thought they was gonna get something juicy.
Oh my God, I love this stuff, man. I love it. I love it. They are so funny to me. Hey, I hope y'all got a kick out of that one. That was funny. Oh, Lord Jesus. Oh, man. Okay, so look, we're going to get right into this IRS information. I know nobody ain't crazy enough not to take a few notes. I be thinking in my own mind, I'm giving y'all a whole lot of information. I might be fooling myself. Just because I got to write it down don't mean y'all as slow as I am. All right, I got to write it down.
Do we need to take a pop quiz?
Yeah, I write it down, man. I don't know because I be trying to remember. I know y'all smarter than me. But listen, man, take all the notes you can. Share the video, like, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Hey, shoot me out there to somebody, man. Be like, yo, my man G over here giving some real information. I mean, if you really feel that way. We're going to go and test the IRS real quick. And we want to see where it got started now because that's important. Where it came from, whose idea it was, especially for my African-American brothers and sisters that thought this guy was on our side. Barack Obama. Check it out.
We cannot continue to rely only on our military in order to achieve the national security objectives that we've set. We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well funded.
Civilian, right? That's civilian.
Civilian.
Correct. That's what he said. Does anybody know what that means? A civilian army?
It's supposed to be kind of similar to a militia, wouldn't you think?
No.
What? You mean like the Second Amendment? The Second Amendment? The right to bear arms?
No. The militia, that's them white supremacist boys.
Yeah, the ones that believe in the second.
Yeah. They doing one of them?
Sounds like it.
Man.
Or maybe that's why we need the Second Amendment.
See, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. I jumped back on track. Yeah.
That's yeah. That sound more like it. Now we here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now we here. So yeah, I mean, what y'all think about that? This is why I wish I had everybody up here with us, because we had it. I want to ask that question. Like, what do you think about it? That's what it sounded like to me. So after listening to Barack say we need a civilian army, and then we see these 87,000 IRS agents, defund the police, but fund the IRS and give them weapons and give them training and how to raid homes and apply lethal force.
Do you have that that thing that was actually taken off of the IRS site where it had the qualifications for them hiring
Yeah, it's gone. I couldn't get my fingers on it before it was gone. I wanted it so bad. Say, huh? All right, we're going to get somebody on that right now. Sugar Baby 1010 is in the building. Quick fingers. So we're going to look at that IRS a little closer. Just a little closer. And you know, I just want people to, again, just pay attention because I don't want you to take my word for it. I'm only showing you this information because I want you to take it in. Maybe it's something you've never known. Maybe it will help you see a little clearer. Hopefully. That's the hope we have here.
Open them eyes.
Open your eyes so you can see. Okay? All right. This new money. Watch this new money now. The title of this clip is New Money. You're going to understand why. You're watching the Real Greg Kelly Show. New money.
When you think of U.S. federal agencies whose employees are regularly armed, the FBI, Secret Service, or Department of Homeland Security come to mind. But the Inflation Reduction Act, which passed the Senate and now requires a vote in the House, could see more guns going to the IRS. About $80 billion is going to the IRS for increased enforcement, operational improvements, customer service, and modernizing the agency's antiquated computer systems. The biggest chunk of the money, $45.6 billion, will be for increased enforcement, which is a main goal of Democrats after years of shrinking IRS staff and less audit and collection activity.
I think people can fairly expect a lot more audits, more sort of lengthy audits, more serious collection activity. I mean, those are things that I think I would expect. I think the enforcement one is, for most people, kind of the most, the most frightening because we don't really know how far it will go.
Democrats argue the increased investment is needed to make sure corporations and high net worth Americans are paying what they owe in taxes after a decade of declining audit rates. But Republicans are sounding the alarm of government overreach and are concerned a beefed up IRS will lead to more harassment of small business owners. In response to the IRS purchasing nearly $700,000 worth of ammunition earlier this year, Republicans Matt Gaetz and Jeff Duncan introduced the Disarm the IRS Act to stop the IRS from buying more bullets. According to a 2017 report from the Government Accountability Office, the IRS had almost 4,500 guns and just over 5 million rounds of ammunition in its armory. But the IRS Criminal Investigation Division, which has the only armed employees at the agency, does not bring that many cases, and many involve more than just taxes.
A lot of those kinds of circumstances can be from not somebody's poorly done tax return or honest mistakes or even aggressive tax planning, but rather from sort of obstructive behavior, which the IRS I think rightly hates when somebody's getting audited and lies to the IRS, or is getting audited and or maybe it's a collection matter, owes a lot of money to the IRS, but starts making kind of a shell game, transferring assets to their brother, setting up a foreign company to hide assets. Those kinds of things can clearly be criminal.
Still, the proposed increase, which averages out to about $8.9 billion a year, is a big boost for an agency whose current annual budget is just $12.6 billion. This likely means more interactions between the American public and tax collectors in the near future.
We want the system to work well, but on the other hand, anyone, all of us file tax returns, and everyone hopes that their tax return is not the one that's examined. And if it is examined, you hope that it's sort of a simple query and not something that becomes really protracted and that you might characterize as a witch hunt. I mean, most turn out that way, but bottom line, anytime you talk about a big slug of money being designated for IRS enforcement, there's going to be worry, and I think in some ways rightly worried.
IRS. IRS. That's a little spooky. That is really spooky.
I found those things I sent to you.
I'm looking at them. Oh man, that is really spooky though. That's a lot of That's a lot of money that they spending on the IRS. What are they doing with these boys?
I think it's around 78,000 would be their annual pay. They're getting 87,000. I think Glenn Beck added it up, and it'd be over $8 billion just to pay their salaries.
Wow.
Of tax dollars, not including other tax dollars being used to cover their operations.
Sound like them boys got a army over there though. I mean, that's what it looked like. That's a lot of people with weapons, ton of ammunition, training.
And they keep saying they're going after the billionaires, which is only about 5% of the population. The population with the money is the poor people, us in the populace.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need 87,000 for 0.5% of a population, do you?
No.
That's a lot of guns. I think Sugar Baby 1010 about to come into the studio here. I'm about to find out. Let me make sure I know what I'm talking about. Hold on for a second. Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Sugar Baby, you coming?
I'm way backstage.
All right. Come on through then. Y'all know who y'all watching. Y'all watching the real Greg Kelly, man. I'm just having a little fun. Yeah, we're going to bring one more in. Sugar Baby 1010. She really the brains behind this small, humble, but yet powerful streaming session you got going on here. Welcome to the show.
Is she sitting in front of you?
And I'm muted. But you can hear me. You can hear me in his mic. So,
yeah, I can hear you.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all can still hear me?
No. Hi, Tay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
IRS though. Not very happy at all.
Zoe, come show your face.
So, I was looking at I seen this the other day, the percentage of Americans that the IRS examined them. And I just it's 51% of people who make less than $75,000.
Yeah, the poorest.
That's what you need 87,000 new agents for. So you got to quit paying all that overtime to the IRS. You just pay straight time. It all works out. But I am I'm baffled at that. But the job posting, are you going to show the job posting that I sent to you, Greg, with the...
I don't know how to show nothing.
Well, you're
okay.
That part of the operation.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Did y'all hear me before?
Yeah.
How? I was muted. Now all of a sudden, if I mute, I'm not muted.
It's because we're both talking.
Huh?
It's because we're both talking. I have a microphone.
I mean, but I muted this thing.
Yeah, but you unmuted it, and that's when we heard you.
Okay, I'm lost. Me and the mute button, we got something going on between us. I'm gonna try to figure it out. But right now, if it's a competition, the mute button winning.
For both of us.
So, are we echoing at all?
No.
Oh, that's even more lovelier. Okay. The IRS is spooky. Okay. And now, look, let's think about this. So, remember, all these stimulus checks are flying all over the place, right?
Don't forget unemployment.
I was just about to say unemployment. Yeah, they were giving out a whole lot of money. They're coming back for it.
And I did see, Nick showed me last week that Biden is going to be pursuing those false claims with the PPP loans. And I don't think they care. I really don't think they care. They just need to exhaust all funds possible so they can pay for this crap they're trying to pay for.
Yeah, let's just arm the people and hey, go get the other people. Sick the people on the people. It's pretty sickening to me, but we're going to keep looking. We're going to keep checking this out. It gets a little more sinister than what it is. I mean, it gets bad as far as, what the end game is. This is another Greg Reese report, the IRS, and what they intend, to do with these 87,000 soldiers they have and all that new ammunition that they have, all those guns. But they want to take your guns, America. Oh, they want your guns. But they're buying up all the ammo, all the guns they can.
Notice how they always have a sob story when they're trying to take your weapons.
Yeah.
Well, why do they want to take our weapons?
So we don't have a way to defend ourselves. That Second Amendment is Amendment is the last line of defense.
So bad.
Well,
absolutely.
Yeah, and okay, did y'all see today? News and Why It Matters. They had
yes, I did.
The guy that laughed at Beto O'Rourke talking about the AR-15s, and they were made weapons of mass destruction for the Vietnam War, and how dare anybody be able to get one? And the guy in the crowd started laughing, and he's actually an Air Force vet that has his own gun shop. And he was saying that they had actually bussed people in to go to that. Those folks sitting there with the Beto signs.
Yeah.
It was. I was tripping off of that earlier.
Yeah, we were.
Okay.
Yeah, we caught that. Actually, we caught that part live. But what I was going to say, they're so take our guns. Hell yeah, we're going to take your guns. Talk about Beto, but yeah, you want to think they're so weapons of mass destruction and weapons of war, but yet you want to arm your people with them. So make sense to me. They're so bad, but you all want them, right? So I mean, that right there should just show to the people who don't maybe want to accept that their government is crumbling right in front of them. 2 and 2 definitely equals 4, and that's what that is. They don't think they're weapons of mass destruction and all these weapons of war, for one, because they're not. You can take them and you hunt, right? But then at the same time, they want to arm their people with them so they can come and knock on our door. So that right there, those two things, they don't go together. They don't go together. And so it should be just obvious.
It don't go together. Okay, it don't. And it's a physics. It don't mix. It's kind of retarded. I keep hearing myself. But anyway, one more clip. IRS, Greg Reese report. You watching it here? I believe it's Greg Reese report, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is.
We Americans are divided by political party, religion, and social class to keep us from ever figuring out the real cancer in American culture, the cause of nearly every American war and the mother of today's corruption.
It's the Federal Reserve, okay? 0.5% of the citizens of this country own more assets than the bottom 90%. That's all happened over the last 10 years since 2008. The Federal Reserve, by the way, that's owned not by the American people, a central bank that's owned by 24 prime brokers, being JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley. How does that work? We don't need to audit the Fed. We need to end the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve has usurped its power and the power of the American people and our elected representatives. And no, they do not have the consent of the governed. We will not comply. We will not submit, and it must be ended.
The Federal Reserve banking system introduced the most destructive form of usury the modern world has ever known, a debt-based currency designed to rob and enslave entire nations. The Federal Reserve prints money out of thin air, and this has given the crooks who wield it the power and influence to create their own corporate government within the United States. And the IRS has made every hard-working American into a criminal, guilty until proven innocent. The IRS was always seen as unconstitutional, but in 1913, the powers of the IRS were weaponized and made de facto law by the 16th Amendment, never properly ratified, which states that the government can collect a percentage of everyone's income. Over 50% of Americans refuse this unconstitutional amendment, but the IRS will come after you. They have a long reputation for targeting religious groups and political opponents, and it's only looking to get much worse. The Inflation Reduction Act guarantees more inflation, with the billions of dollars required to be printed out of thin air. And while local police are defunded so that violent criminals are set free, the IRS is being funded to hire over 80,000 new agents to make sure everyone is paying their taxes. And they have recently bought 5 million rounds of ammunition. They are building their own police force to
Back it up a little bit, and it had that list of things that was sent. Right there. Okay. Right after, and then it's that one. Yes.
Oh, hold on. Oops, I went past it. There we go. All right. I'm not gonna read it.
Why not?
I have friends.
Well, if you want to work for the IRS, they're hiring special agents now. Your major duties include adhere to the highest standards of conduct, especially in maintaining honesty and integrity. Work a minimum of 50 hours per week, which may include irregular hours, and be on call 24/7, including holidays and weekends. Maintain a level of fitness necessary to effectively respond to life-threatening situations on the job. You get to carry a firearm and will be willing to use deadly force if necessary. And last but not least, be willing and able to participate in arrest, execution of search warrants, and other dangerous assignments.
So they can come to our house now. Okay.
They come into your house.
That sounded like a hiring ad for the FBI.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but I didn't want to say that. Oh, air. I didn't say that, y'all.
What'd you say?
None.
You ain't saying nothing because you're on mute.
Yeah, I did it. I'm sorry, I did it. But yeah, it sounds like they're gonna come to your house, folks, and they're gonna come to your house, and they're gonna take your stuff.
If you ain't got the money to pay for it, they're gonna start collecting your assets.
It's theft. It's just theft. Paying taxes is theft.
Isn't that why the settlers left Britain in the first place?
I have no idea.
I thought
But
it was.
I know the Boston Tea Party was about them taxes.
Yes. The Revolutionary War was based off of theft.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going back to that now. Okay.
That's what it looked like. Let's see.
Taxes. And they have recently bought 5 million rounds of ammunition. They are building their own police force to execute search warrants, make arrests, and exert the use of deadly force. While many liberal progressives may argue that the crimes of the Federal Reserve are necessary, they are hurting people worldwide. Because it's the world's reserve currency, 40% of international transactions are in USD. And as the Fed continues pushing the illusion of a strong dollar, the rest of the world is made poor. If the Americans don't remedy the situation soon, then the international community has a reasonable excuse to get involved. The entire international fiat system is collapsing, and the crooks responsible will be selling us a new centralized digital currency, which is obviously another trap. But the alternative is simple: restore the constitutional republic to promote the general welfare and secure the blessings of liberty with sound money backed by gold and silver. End the Fed, the IRS, the CIA, the FBI. It's written right there on your $100 reserve note. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government that will most benefit their safety and happiness.
What is the highest federal income tax any American should have to pay?
Well, we should have the lowest tax that we've ever had, and up until 1913, it was 0%. What's so bad about that? Now, I would like to follow up on that, because I think the question on taxes is generally misleading. Because anytime you spend money, it's a tax. You might tax, you might borrow, you might inflate. The vicious tax is attacking the American people, the retired people today, is the inflation tax. The devaluation of the currency, the standard of living is going down, and you need to address that. And that's why I want to make the inflation tax zero as well.
So your answer is zero.
Zero.
Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.
The IRS. Any thoughts on the IRS?
I mean, that pretty much said it for itself. At their corruption and what they're actually trying to do to us. I do think something that doesn't get talked about enough with them trying to change like our dollar system and turn it into digital. They have been instituting ESGs into all types of institutions, and they're going to implement it on us to where if you don't comply, you don't get to purchase. So,
yeah, they call it the social credit score.
Yeah, we need to make sure we do not let the corruption exceed that far. Because other countries are doing it, and their citizens are suffering.
Look at China.
Mm-hmm.
And their economy, but the with the ESG, there is he's a treasurer, I believe. I know you probably know who I'm talking about too, Taylor, because he was on Glenn Beck's show, where they're fighting back against the ESG, and they're making it so they're not going to do business, and they're taking that out of those banks. And putting it remember the man that I was talking about, because they spread that to other states as well, to where they're following suit. So that's where another thing too that is voting for your local representatives, the people that are in your county, that are in your town.
Absolutely.
Because those are the people, they always want to go from the top down. You start with this local level people, that just work. Right? And we've forgotten about that. We don't think about that. Well, yeah, go about our everyday lives. Well, now's the time to change that. So.
Get out and vote. It means something. Even though a lot of people will tell you that it doesn't, but it does.
That's the problem that the Democrats have, is that they actually they do not have numbers. They don't know how many people support them because, they keep having a little assistance when it comes November time. So, I mean, we got to count on how many's on our side, and we still keep increasing because you're seeing people switch, and then the Republican voter registry keeps going up because of people switching, but they don't have an accurate count of the Democrats because it's hard to keep track on based off of, how many votes somebody had. Did they really have that many?
They did.
Yeah, they got, The census is wrong. The census is off. They can't properly count because they keep doing bad things.
Well, Trump was trying to prevent sanctuary cities from counting in the census, and they were saying that that was racist because, everything about our government revolves around how many is in each state as a population. So when you have falsified numbers, that's how you get states like California and New York with such high population, but they actually are illegals in that number.
And they just want to steal the money. That's what's so amazing.
And then they run out and still beg for money, just like 2020. I'm sorry, I'm going off, but just like in 2020, they did not want Trump's help trying to help all those riots in the streets, and then they would say, "Well, we need money for this, we need money for that," but they wouldn't doing anything with the criminals in the street.
Yeah.
Still releasing them. That has changed at all. And it's funny because I was listening to you all, and back when you guys were showing the FBI and what they used to do, what was it, 1913, I believe it was anyway, and it had listed different groups of people.
So there's a little echo.
There was the different groups that they listed. It was black people, it was gay people, there were other people that they were against, right? They were going out and wiretapping them and they rounded them up, yada yada yada. Those people, the same groups of people back then are now. If you look at BLM, right? You have the LGBTQIA plus community, right? They're all shoving everything down your throat. So it's kind of ironic now if you think about it. Everybody's so for democracy. It's our democracy. But you go back 100 years and look at what you got. Those people, the white man was so against you, but here you are doing everything that they ask you and have you do, all in the name of democracy.
All in the name of one of those things. They don't mean the same.
The Soros-funded organizations.
Soros. It's like the open society. The open society. That should tell you everything you need to know about them.
And the judge, the prosecutor with Alex Jones. Those are Soros funded people as well, put in place. It's mind blowing that judge sat there in front of the jury, everyone else in there, and no one thought, hey, that doesn't sound right. I thought you could say anything. Okay, he's not bankrupt because he's got $1. How are you going to tell that man he can't say that he's bankrupt? Or that he's,
shut up, you're guilty.
Not guilty. You can't say that. Like, what? Well, those things, what I said, they're true. Well, just because you say something doesn't make it true. Well, hell, Democrats, please look in the mirror and say that to yourself. Please. Because that's all we've been trying to tell you this whole time. Just because you say it don't make it true, because you feel some kind of way, it don't mean anything.
Facts over feelings.
Fuck your feelings. I use the wrong F word.
It's just unbelievable. If that's not, the thought police, live and in color, and this look, you got the speech police. This is George Orwell's 1984, right in front of us. And
somebody in the UK got arrested for a meme on his Facebook.
Are you talking about the old guy? Are you talking about the old guy? He was an elderly man, and they came and arrested him because he had said it was something on his Facebook page, and they came and arrested him.
I don't know if that's the same guy, but I do know that they went after somebody who posted a meme that was mocking the government.
Oh no, this was he had said it was hate speech to someone for something he had posted on Facebook. It was an elderly white guy, and yeah, I guess too with the meme and because you said something about the government, they quickly ceased to continuing on with that because their citizens were like, wait a minute, that don't sound right. And that's the thing too. You see the people there are standing up and they're speaking out. Not that we're not, but that's really one of the biggest things is you have to push back. You have to make it known. You have to start talking about it, and it's uncomfortable. Don't get me wrong; it's very uncomfortable. But remember all those. Oh, you see something, say something. You see somebody looking like an idiot out here talking about, oh, the IRS or not to come after you. Oh, the president doesn't control the gas prices. Tell them how stupid they are and go on about your business. And plant
Oh, but when it drops 50 cents, he sure does get up there and brag about it.
You damn right. He got to get his credit so he can go buy some damn ice cream.
It ain't gonna be a Choco Taco. They're discontinued, from what I understand.
I'm also an ice cream guy.
I've never had a Choco Taco.
Oh my gosh, it's been a long time.
A chocolate taco? That sounds racist.
Well, it shouldn't be. It's a taco.
The Choco Taco, okay? It doesn't have anything to do with black people.
I was talking about Spanish people.
Yeah, that's what you say now.
All right, y'all. Listen, we're going to take a moment to keep Ronnie in our thoughts, man. We ain't forgot. Told y'all. Till it's over. We're going to keep Nick. We're going to keep Nick's father in our thoughts and prayers, man. Whew. It's hard out here enough, you know what I'm saying? It's already hard out here. All right, coming up. We're going to change gears just a little bit. Just a little bit. Get a good laugh. Maybe. Let's see. Oh, yeah. I wanted to devote a segment to my Second Amendment brothers and sisters out there. Show you a handgun, top of the line, Coleon nowhere. It's going to show us the Staccato P 2011. Beautiful piece of stuff. I mean, this is beautiful hardware. Beautiful. I mean, just beautiful. Well-oiled machine. Don't be afraid to get your ammunition. Don't be afraid to get your firearms. It's your First Amendment. Well, the Second Amendment protects your First Amendment. Exercise your rights, America. Don't be afraid to defend yourself. But anyway, Staccato P 2011. Beautiful piece of hardware. Check this out.
Staccato P. When I did my initial video, I did a video not too long ago where I went and I picked up a Staccato P. I jumped in my little Dune Beetle, which I call my Porsche 911 GT3, and basically went down to Georgetown, Texas, to the facility of Staccato to pick up this gun. At the end of that video, after that video came out, I got a lot of questions from people asking me, because I didn't really do a full review on the gun. People were asking me, hold on, so is it worth it? Is the price of the gun worth it? Because Staccatos aren't cheap. Not cheap at all. And to answer your question, yeah, They are. Generally speaking, I'd say looks are subjective. And to a degree they are. But I don't care what anyone says. This is a good looking gun. May not be the best looking gun in the world, even though I think it looks incredible. But it doesn't look incredible in that jewelry kind of sense. It looks great the way, I don't know, a Ram TRX looks good, the way a Ford Raptor looks good. It's not, you don't see it go, oh, that's beautiful. You go like, yeah, that's nice. That's real nice. And so, you know, I've always really been partial to 1911's aesthetics. I think they're just inherently beautiful guns. And I think it's no different with the Staccato P. Now, I will say this much. The compensator, I kind of wish it was this drives me insane. I'm sorry, it just does. I know there's a reason for it. I can't remember what that reason is right now. This little thing here, this pushing P here, I'm not a fan. Visually. However, the beautiful thing about the Staccato, which also I think makes it worth it, are the features. I can take this off and put a threaded barrel on. I can take this off and just run a flush barrel on this gun. I have the ability to change up those things because those are one of the feature sets of the Staccato, and mainly the Staccato P. Now let's talk about ergonomics. You'd be hard pressed to see anyone say that the ergonomics on a 1911 are no good or that they're not good at all. But even more so with the 2011 because you get such a beefier grip. You get something that kind of fills up your hands in a way that I like. I tend to like my grips to have a little bit more meatiness to it. I was really scared to say that because I know Peter is probably snickering back there because he's a child. But I like the way this feels in hand. And then when you add in this kind of skateboard tape style freaking texture, this texture is just mwah. Love it. I know there's some like technical name for it. I don't care. I just know I love it. And this is their new grip. They had another grip before, which kind of had a more rubberized look to it. Wasn't bad, but when I saw this, it just looks so clean and just the edges on the borders. It's just, love it. But then in hand, it just grips and it just sits and stays there. It doesn't move. You just have a really good command in the gun. Then you have also this magazine well, which just is wide. Now, this magazine well honestly is taken from, it's a bit big. It's more competition style than anything else, but it's not as flared as most competition style 2011s or double stack 1911s. The beautiful thing about this is it makes loading the gun so intuitive. Even when I don't see it, I could just, and I haven't done a ton of reloads on this gun, but I could just it doesn't matter. Just easy to load. Let's get to the biggest aspect of this gun that's just nuts. The trigger.
Before you finish watching this video, a word from our sponsor. Have you ever thought about making a living in the firearms industry? If you enjoy gun repair, ballistics, and learning about firearms, Sonoran Desert Institute's online courses might just be a good fit for you. To find out more, visit sdi.edu or call 480-999-4767 today.
So, here's the trigger. I'm just gonna say it. This trigger is freaking fantastic. I mean, utterly fantastic. It is one of the easiest triggers I've ever used on any gun, ever. This trigger is phenomenal. It's a very short take up. You hit that wall, break it, and then that reset is almost non-existent, but predominantly existent in the same breath. That makes no sense. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to explain what I'm feeling about this trigger right now in words that do not exist. The trigger on this gun is fantastic. Visually, I like the trigger as well. It's the trigger in combination with the way this gun recoils. This gun doesn't recoil. It just doesn't. It doesn't move. It just sits. And I'm pretty sure this comp has something to do with it. I'm pretty sure the way this gun has something to do with it, considering this is chambered in 9mm. But even still, I've shot other guns with comps. I've shot other 2011s with comps. This gun sits, man. It just sits like I've never seen before. And it just adds to the shooting experience and your confidence level whenever you're shooting stuff. You just don't even think about it. It just feels so natural to aim and just shoot because you're not worried about the gun jumping all over the place. In combination with that, you also have the ability to mount a red dot on it. And I think the combination of the red dot with this trigger, the light recoil, this gun makes you a better shooter. And I know that's blasphemy. You're not supposed to say that. Guns don't make you a better shooter. High-priced guns don't make you better. Bullshit. Bullshit. This gun makes you a better shooter. It just does. Like, I don't care what anyone says. The confidence level I have to hit targets with this gun in combination with, oh, you can hit targets and now you're missing. But just the confidence that this gun inspires. I don't have the same confidence.
All right, the Staccato P, 2011. Coming to a store near you. All right, Taylor stepped away to go make sure old sister Nick is doing good. We hope everything all right. Just wanted to introduce you to the Staccato. It's real nice, man, real nice. Haven't put my hands on it, but I do believe that it looked real good for all my gun lovers out there. All right, so we're going to continue on. The inside football looks like this. After everything that Donald Trump's gone through and had to endure, when he said that he was going to run for president, everything that has happened as a result of that move, those words, have led to this. We know Russia. We know all the collusion, all of the lies, Steele dossier. We know it all. Taxes, making them a criminal. Everything it does makes them a criminal. And they've been probing. They've been building something. And it's a pretext to claim that maybe some extremists took him out. Or somebody just had to take out Donald Trump because he was such a threat to the world. People, the only way the Democrats, I don't even call them Democrats because they're not democratic at all. They're communists. Don't confuse it. The only way that can stay in power, they got to get rid of the guy. I mean, point blank, period. There's no other way. If they play fair, they lose. And they know it. Joe Biden in the extreme left, they don't even pass the eye test, man. Okay? You can't get 15, 20 people at a rally out there to go see them people. They corrupted, man. And it's time that we go ahead and just call it what it is and stop playing. That's what it is. They corrupted. We've been infiltrated. Alex Jones was right, y'all. He was right. Despite what you're thinking, how you feel about him, he was right. So, the BS got to come. The stage got to be set to do exactly what I just said has to happen. They got to do something to get rid of him. So just check this out. This is where the BS start. The Mar-a-Lago raid, he got nuclear codes. He got sensitive information. We'll never get to see it. I mean, Sugar Baby even said it. We're not going to get a chance to see it, right? I mean,
No, they already trying to block the affidavit from being released.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. And the fact that they even put on the warrant that they were looking for the Greg, I told you earlier how it was worded, but they had put it on a warrant that that they were looking for the nuclear documents and highly classified documents and so on. It's written that way so that they don't have to tell us, oh, it's classified, we can't release that information. Right. So all that, I mean, you can see that plain as day. That is no surprise. Oh, it's just but no, look over here at this shiny thing because he's trying to sell the nuclear codes. Okay, well, what nuclear codes exactly was he trying to sell, right? Like what?
Like I told Greg last
secret?
night, after the
Was it
president,
China? Was it Russia? Who? Oh, was it ours? Oh, well, it's classified. I mean, we can't tell you that.
those codes are changed after every president leaves office. So even if he did, it wouldn't work.
Thought that the nuclear codes did not change is so far gone. There's not a thing you can do to help them. Oh, let's just keep them the same as they were when Nixon was in office. I mean, come on.
I mean, you got a bunch of people that believe this nonsense. A bunch of people.
You know, Biden ain't got them. They got them locked away from Biden.
That would be safe with Joe Biden. Okay, they would be absolutely safe with Joe Biden.
Look, he might mistake him for toilet paper. You just never know. He look at it. Oh, I need the white man, but hey, hand me the briefcase.
Where's my sister?
I have toilet paper in my briefcase.
Is he Cornholio?
Well, this is where the BS start. CNN telling their lies. Here we go. Check it out. CNN, they never fail us. Okay,
Here is where
they never fail.
bullshit explodes, Craig. It did not start here. It started long ago. Here's where the bullshit gets real and it explodes.
I have to agree. I have to agree.
On your show. Is your allegation that government officials are aiding in pedophilia, child trafficking, and the grooming of children, right?
What do you mean, like what Jeffrey Epstein did with the Clintons?
Right hand. Oh my goodness! Tomorrow's right hand is ridiculous. Oh my goodness!
Is your allegation that government officials are aiding in pedophilia, child trafficking, and the grooming of children, right?
What do you mean, like what Jeffrey Epstein did with the Clintons?
New pictures just into CNN. A group of armed Trump supporters gathered outside the FBI office in Phoenix, Arizona. Photographs taken this morning show Trump supporters carrying handguns and assault-style weapons on the street. That is allowed under Arizona's open carry law. One of the demonstrators said they're at that location to support Trump and protest what they call the unlawful search at Mar-a-Lago. This week, the FBI, along with the Department of Homeland Security, issued a joint intelligence bulletin warning of violent threats against federal law enforcement, courts, and government personnel, as well as facilities.
Okay, here we go. Here you go. See, this is what I'm talking about right here.
You remember what I said yesterday?
What part? You said a whole lot yesterday. Hey, Nick.
Hey. So now people are concerned about the threats and violent calls to the FBI agents and any other officials. But just a month and a half ago, the Democrats were crickets when it come to people putting bounties on Supreme Court justices. That was their constitutional right to protest.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to be protected. Remember?
Well,
I mean, it just seems like hypocrisy to me. You can't call out one and not call out the other.
No, it's treason. No, it's treason.
We remember. They don't remember. They think their people are so dumb they can't remember what happened last week.
We're not all Joe Biden.
But this is treason. This isn't, just Bill breaking the law. This is treason. All right. These people are fools and they're dangerous. And everything that they say that people that love this country are, it's them. And the way that they could just continue to just create lies out of thin air, formulate narratives out of thin air and, pump all of this poison into the propaganda machine that is mainstream, media. They're so pompous. They don't see it. They're so blind. They can't see it. But the average American, the average human being, you don't even have to have the world's highest, or not even near the world's highest IQ to see that this is repeat ball play. I mean, they're in sudden death. At this point, the only thing that they can do is cook up something that's strong enough to brainwash the American people into thinking that Donald Trump needs to die. And they're doing it. They don't have no other play. As long as he is who he is and he's where he is, they lose everything. I'm not even sure they can go and repeat some of the same plays that they played in 2020. I don't think they can even.
Have y'all heard this one yet? Donald Trump killed Ivana and put his classified documents in her coffin. Why does she need to? She should have.
Why did she have 10 pallbearers?
She didn't need 10 pallbearers.
She had liposuction.
Yeah, she had liposuction. She should have been late. There's no reason to have 10 pallbearers.
Well, I'm sure those secret documents weigh about 200 pounds.
They're calling to get her grave dug up.
These people are serious. Stupid.
And people don't realize Donald Trump and his ex-wife was very close.
Extremely.
She had a direct line to his Oval Office, so she could reach him at any time.
Yep.
But now they're saying that he killed her.
Yep.
Yeah, I heard that thing. I heard it. I'm not sure. But regardless of how absurd it is, there are people that believe it.
There is.
That's the real sad part, is that there are actually people that believe that Donald Trump is not only is he a nuclear code stealer, he's a killer. He commits espionage. I mean, what doesn't he do? Because does he? This guy has committed every crime in the book. He probably done broke some laws that ain't even written yet.
They're gonna write them just for him.
Every time he breathes, he breaks a law. Matter of fact, breathing is against the law.
They'll change the definition to make it fit.
It'll be something else. Who knows? But let's get through this buffoonery. And the second segment of the buffoonery is even worse. Okay, it's even worse. If it starts again.
Following the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago, the Bureau is monitoring an unprecedented number of threats fueled by dangerous statements like these.
This is Gestapo crap, and it will not stand. The Department of Injustice needs to be cleaned out if they are going to start pretending we're some sort of banana republic.
This should scare the living daylights out of American citizens and say, we have got to change our federal government. The way our federal government has gone, it's like what we thought about Soviet Union. When we look at Latin America, we have got to say to ourselves, this cannot be our country.
Just yesterday, the names of the two agents who signed the search warrant paperwork were circulating online after the unredacted warrant was leaked. Joining me now is Peter Strzok. He is a former FBI counterintelligence official who played a central role in both the Hillary Clinton email and Trump-Russia investigations. He's also the author of Compromised, Counterintelligence and the Threat of Donald J. Trump. Peter, one of the most amusing things that I saw in the past week, I think I saw one Republican lawmaker saying, well, where was all of the attention to Hillary Clinton's emails? Of course, I remember when James Comey came out with that 11 days before the 2016 election, had a very big impact on that election. But what do you say to those voices on the far right who spent all week slamming the Bureau's integrity and really using the kind of language that could lead to violence, could animate some extremists out there who might be thinking about doing something violent?
The extremists that might be out there thinking about doing something violent. This, oh my God, it's going to trigger something that may actually motivate some extremists to go out and do something extreme. This is the same rhetoric that these people have been peddling since Charlottesville. Okay, this is the same nonsense they've been peddling that led up to the January 6th. This is the exact same trash. Okay, this is trash, my American brothers and sisters. This is trash, and the American people have a right to know. I'm moving myself midstream. The American people have a right to know that this is bullish.
There's people that believe it, though.
Yeah.
But it's really dangerous. This is really dangerous. This is really dangerous. And I mean, the fact that they have the gall to repeatedly accuse just regular old hardworking Americans of being extremist and dangerous, like Lauren Boebert, they just branded her as an extremist.
That's your girl. I love her.
She's my political crush.
She is, man, she's on point.
She's a terrorist. She's a flipping terrorist.
See?
Okay, she's a domestic terrorist. And you need to get the record straight. You hear me? Hey, I'm talking to y'all.
Well, she's my terrorist.
Beto is my guy. Beto.
Okay, speaking of Second Amendment and guns and Beto O'Rourke again, did you see when Lauren Boebert called him out before she even ran for office?
Yes.
That was so awesome. Yeah, I know why you don't want people to have guns in their homes is because your criminal past of a robber. Burglary. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the real deal. Her and Kelly Carrie Lake. Carrie Lake, they serious about their business, and I respect them women. Not to mention that, the right wing guys are, we hate women, by the way. And so but then a shout out to those two females for kicking ass the way they're kicking ass. This is the BS I was talking about. Here you go. This is the crap.
Yeah, grow up. This is wildly irresponsible. This is directly leading to violence. It is inflaming people. It is causing things like a gunman approaching the Cincinnati field office of the FBI, brandishing a weapon, leading people on a car chase, and ending in his death. This is something we know from decades of the global war on terror, the things that you try and do to de-radicalize people. You approach political leaders, community leaders, faith leaders, and you tell them to dial back the rhetoric. What we're seeing in America today is the opposite. And, to your point, with a team of about 20 people, I spent a year and a half working on Hillary Clinton's email server, where we executed multiple search warrants. I never heard one Republican once raise a finger talking about how we were using Gestapo tactics or overreaching. From the Democrats, behaving like responsible American citizens, letting the FBI do its job. And that's what the Republicans need to do here. The FBI has a job to do to enforce the laws of the United States. And it's beyond the pale that there are senators, United States senators, who are going along and nodding their head up and down with suggestions that the FBI plants evidence are things which are extraordinarily wrong. And these people know better. And for them to be continuing to say that, in light of everything we're now seeing, the constant flow of classified material that's being recovered out of Mar-a-Lago, false statements apparently by attorneys to President Trump saying that nothing remained. There isn't any basis to be making these claims. It is leading to violence, and it needs to stop.
It may be leading to violence, and it needs to stop, so they say. But why nobody didn't stop BLM and Antifa from rioting? That was violent.
Did he just say what I thought he said?
What do you think he said?
Something about us Democrats who.
Yeah, you need to back it up because she lost it when when it came across.
First, one thing I do want to say, Greg, if you can find that. Who in the hell believes Peter Strzok? Did people forget him and Lisa Page's name and how they conspired?
Dan Bongino has
a Russia probe. Did everybody forget who this guy was?
Mm-mm.
I mean,
he's a bureaucrat.
Are you kidding me? He was fired from the FBI. He was fired. And you believe this guy? This guy telling us how so the violent rhetoric. Oh, and then they put it. It kills me when they put up it's unprecedented. The violent calls or whatever it said on the bottom of the screen.
The call to violence in the streets.
Peaceful protest.
Peacefully.
Dan Bongino has a good quote, and it is.
Never happened before. It is unprecedented because they've never done this before. You fucking idiots! It kills me. It kills. Excuse me.
F-bomb alert. This is kid friendly.
Dan Bongino has a good saying. We think the left is good people with bad ideas. The left thinks we are bad people with bad ideas. Like, huh?
They got it wrong. It's backwards. We're good people with good ideas. They're bad people with bad ideas. And they stink.
They do stink. They go all natural. What was that show that never mind.
What?
Surely we have something.
Oh, sure, this is gonna be interesting.
Don't hold it back.
I'm about to send it to y'all.
I'm about to shoot somebody.
Pow.
You better put that thing away. Beta's coming for it.
You've been shot. What is the what?
That is hilarious.
I see this. I forgot.
What is happening here? Well, anyway, we're going to try to get through this video while Samantha loads up this clip and she was over here laughing about it. Y'all hear how loud that was?
Oh, it's hilarious.
That was flipping loud, man. Good Lord.
I love that guy.
All right, here we go. You know, the BS.
Yeah, it almost reminds me, Peter, of some of the incendiary rhetoric that we heard leading up to January 6th. And we saw, of course, that spasm of violence on that day, which obviously is the subject of the January 6th investigation. And all of that is sort of not really on the front page right now because we're focusing so much on what occurred at Mar-a-Lago a few days ago. But let's just clear something up. If it were any other person not named Trump, who had 11 sets of classified documents at their home, including items marked top secret SCI, how would you be treated by the FBI? I mean, it's almost because Trump goes after people. He engages in character assassination. He's gone after you, for example, and so on, that the Justice Department, the FBI, correct me if I'm wrong here.
Everything that guy just said is everything that they do to Donald Trump every time. And how is this? Peter Strzok, Mr. I got fired from my job because I conspired and lied. You know, with that first line of the job description of how the IRS is, I'm pretty sure it's probably standard across the board. You have to be honest and have integrity. That guy has none of that. None of that. And a CNN host, I can't remember his name because he's stupid and he's not fun to make fun of. He's not Brian Stelter or anything. But everything every single thing, all of this just goes to show, it shows it every single time. Everything that they say that, you know, we're doing is exactly what they're doing. I mean, it does not get any simpler than that. They just explain it to you. And people who watch CNN are complete idiots. Now, well, let me take that back. People who watch CNN to watch the news and think that it's legit are idiots. People who watch it because you have to monitor what the other side is saying. Yeah, it's unbelievable. But thank you for that.
Round of applause. Round of applause. Of applause. Thank you. Somebody had to say it. It wasn't me. Y'all heard? It wasn't me, y'all. It wasn't me. All right, get somebody else other than me. Let's finish this up. But I mean, again, they've got Peter Strzok up here. Brown knows it. Check it out. Check it out now.
They do, I guess, treat the former president somewhat carefully because of what he can unleash.
Right. And I think, Trump has a history of playing in the margins of legality. He finds where that line is, he goes right up to it, and he pushes it to see whether or not he can get away with something. That was magnified when he became president, just because of the history of deference we have in this country to the presidency. So things which were never really codified, things that were always accepted as common practice, he walked right past that. And whether it was disregarding questions that Special Counsel Mueller asked of him, refusing to be interviewed in person, whether it's things like this where he's claiming first that he didn't have documents, then that he turned them in, then that he declassified them. There's just nothing there that, he won't push the boundary. Now, when it comes to my experience, I know from personal experience, several very high-level, high-ranking government officials that I was present executing a search warrant because there was no offer of a subpoena. There was no reach out to their attorney to try and negotiate the return of something which we suspected they had. If they had classified information and they didn't have authorization to have it, it was contraband. We went to a judge, we got a search warrant, we executed that and recovered the material. So there's just no question in my mind that Trump is being treated differently, and largely because of who he is, but also because of his position as a former president.
And Peter, here's a question that I have that has not been answered, and that is, why is a former president of the United States in possession of all of this top secret material? Do all of our former presidents have mansions and resort properties where they keep a room full of top secret classified material? I mean,
yes.
Why does he have this stuff?
Jim, he's an outlier. There is nobody else, no other president that I'm aware of, and certainly when I was an FBI,
piano shop, Obama,
in my experience, that ever had classified information.
The Clintons.
Somebody said Obama. Somebody said the Clintons. All of it is true.
Bushy.
It is all true, America. Yeah, definitely big Bush. I mean, we all know. It's unbelievable how they're trying to turn this into, what has he got? The codes to unlaunch, to unleash all the damn nuclear silos and all the nuke submarines and their missiles simultaneously or something. I mean, what?
The Clintons stole furniture from the White House.
Yeah, nuclear material. Okay, nuclear information. But I mean, if you just think about it.
Obama left the documents in a Chicago
You see how that just happened, y'all. But anyway, just think about it. What nuclear information is worth anything to anybody? I mean, it's not like he has designs for the nuclear carriers or the subs, but military information, designs and blueprints. He doesn't have that. No president has that. So what exactly can he release to some, foreign government that benefits them and gives them some type of military leverage against us as Americans? I mean, he could give them every code in the world. They can't launch shit.
Maybe that's why they took his free passports, so he can't go over there and give them the information.
Yeah.
That has to be why they took
exactly right. I forgot about that. Oh my God, you're so right. That's why they got the passport, so he couldn't go over there and get the information off real fast before anybody got him. Yeah.
I forgot about Hillary's email.
Yeah.
Be sent like that.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Something atrocious had to happen. I don't know. We're coming to the end of this clip, and then we're going to go into something really, really, really funny. But again, Peter Strzok, out of all people, man, this guy's a fraud. Everybody should know it. But there are, once again, we're going to go back. Because they're in sudden death, because this is the end of the road, they'll use anybody. People that have no credibility whatsoever, like this cat right here. I'm sure there are people that will definitely go and get in bed with Peter Strzok and just say, well, yeah, he redeemed himself. only because he's on the left. If anybody on the right ever got exposed the way he did, they would not be on, any mainstream media outlet trying to, push propaganda about Donald Trump. Okay, because nobody would listen. Oh, excuse me, Joe Biden. Nobody will listen. If they said the things about Joe Biden that, the world has said about Donald Trump, they wouldn't believe him anyway, just because they're deaf, dumb, blind, and stupid. But anyway, Peter Strzok still, serving us the doggy food.
Information, let alone this volume. What troubles me the most about this case, I cannot understand why he maintained that material. The intelligence community struggled on a day in, day out basis to try and get him to pay attention to the president's daily brief. They tried and struggled to get him to listen to the intelligence community. He was happy to listen to Vladimir Putin, but he had no appetite to sit and listen to what it was that folks within the intel community were trying to tell him. Now suddenly, he's out of office, and he suddenly pivots to take 27 boxes of classified material that he couldn't be bothered to read while he was the president. He's not writing some detailed memoir about the political ins and outs of what he accomplished in the Middle East or with North Korea. It makes no sense why he would keep it. And that really, when you look at what it is that he appears to have had, that is really, really troubling.
Right. It's really troubling, but no one knows what it is. I wonder how we're so troubled. They don't know what it is. It's just what they suspect it is. But whatever it could be.
Speculation.
Yeah, that's all it is. And that's all it's ever been. It's speculation.
And that's my question. Exactly. They have on there, it's marked top secret. What do they actually classify? Like, what is the lowest level of top secretism, right? Like,
the lowest level of top secretism?
Yeah. Like, what would that be? Like the president's lunch and where he goes to get it? That'd be top secret, so nobody could poison him. I was throwing some stupid out there. But, what do they actually classify as top secret information? Like,
only certain agencies can get certain things at certain levels. Like, I just had a secret clearance, and there's some agencies that have the clearance right up underneath the president. So, and then, if he declassified it, then it's considered unclassified. But they did take boxes labeled top secret that had unclassified documents. Unclassified documents in there. And they also took boxes that had labels with A and then a number. And those boxes that were A and a number was documents between him and his attorney. They took that, which broke client attorney confidentiality.
They're stealing information. They're thieves. They want your money. They want your information. They want your toilet paper and your dishwashing liquid.
I need that.
They want it all. They want your socks and your drawers.
Everything that he just said, though, at the end, almost everything that he just said was a complete lie. And then he said that they took 27 boxes, but then just not here at the beginning, they said it was 12 boxes. So which is it? Like, they don't even have the same story. And what he's talking about, what did he say? He was so, but he was readily paying attention to Vladimir Putin. Like, really? Like, that's really all you people have. That's all he wouldn't pay attention to the press. Well, it's awful funny. He never paid attention to all of these briefings that you were giving him, but he knew exactly what was going on when the press asked him questions. He told him what the answer was. And if he wasn't questioned, Kayleigh McEnany was. And
woo!
Kayleigh Bomb!
I miss her.
Oh, phew, Lord.
No, I like Jean-Pierre. I think Jean-Pierre is the best.
She's a cabbage patch.
I think Jean-Pierre is the cutest idiot I've ever seen. Cutest idiot I think I've ever run across in my life. She's a moron, but she's so cute.
Does she check all your boxes?
No, she missed the very first box. Gotta have a brain. If I only had a brain. Yeah, so
And people believe that. Like that literally. Look, I'm not the smartest person, right?
she
I watch
is.
all kinds of stuff. I pay attention to different things and I can piece stuff together. But just actually listening to everything that guy said, it was very easy for me to pick it apart and remember what happened a month ago, what happened a year ago, right? And they are putting this out there like nobody remembers anything. They have a clip of Don Lemon on with your favorite guy, Greg, Charlemagne the Gopher,
The Gopher.
telling him they had a sit down interview on it's like Hell of a Week or something, I don't remember, but where Don Lemon Charlemagne asked him about the news and what they were, the new guy, I don't remember his name, but that runs CNN after the other guy got fired, is changing, kind of the dynamic so that the truth is getting out there. And something was, oh God, now I can't remember exactly what it was. But anyway, essentially my point is that Don Lemon told Charlemagne that if the head guy at CNN wouldn't let him report on the news and tell the truth and to the American people, and for that, I mean, we're even international, so it'd be the world. If he wouldn't let me tell the truth, I would walk. Charlemagne's like, so you're telling me if he wouldn't let you tell the truth, you'd go work somewhere else? Yeah, we'd get a job. Don Lemon, please show me where you told the truth. Jessica Smollett.
He's probably smothering old Smollett.
Oh, Juicy.
Come here, Juicy Booty. Oops. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. Juicy. All right.
We better watch for them pops.
So listen, all we got is 2 more clips. But we got a little funny thing going on. Again, the whole purpose of showing this information and having a little fun with the family. Bam. Y'all notice I wasn't serious tonight. See, they helped me. I be tripping. I be going a little too hard sometimes. However, I wanted everybody to just get their eyes on the information from, laying a foundation about the amount of crooked behavior that the FBI has been involved in. So if you're feeling in your gut that this might be some suspect activity, it is warranted. That's all I'm saying. I ain't pointing the finger. I ain't determining for you. Use your own brain. But anyway, once again, shout out to Nick and her father, man.
Thank you.
We're going to keep on shouting them out. We're going to keep on keeping them right here, fresh in the mind. We don't want to forget about the people that mean the most to the people that mean most to us. So make sure you keep them in your prayers tonight. Make sure you keep them in your thoughts, man. We do the same for you. So, whew.
I love all of y'all. Y'all are awesome. I love this family. And I'm so thankful for it.
We love you.
Mm-hmm. I love you.
I wish I could hug you guys.
One of these days.
I'm going to close my eyes while they hug.
You're wrong for that. You play too much.
I do. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But anyway, moving right along through this, we're going to end this here shortly. We got 2 more funny clips here. Sanford and Son. Y'all might remember this here. Old Sanford and them.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Here we go, Sanford.
Give me my money. No, I said no. No, I want my money. I said no.
I'm sorry to hear about your father. I ran into Grady Wilson, and he said that Corn Pop had one foot in the grave and the other foot on a banana peel.
Corn Pop. Hey, what you doing? You think you're smart, don't you?
I don't really think.
That's a dangerous thing to do, wake up a fella like that. What if I had been unconscious? I thought I was going to faint. I didn't know what to do.
But what did you do?
Well, you know that medical book you bought called 1,001 Diseases in the Home?
It's wildly comical.
Well, I looked in it to see what it was I had. And you know what I got?
What?
Putin's yeah.
I'm dying. You hear that?
Donald Trump. I was going to put him.
Oh my God, man.
You
I killed myself. I cried myself up, man. Them guys are fools. They're fools. Whew, I tell y'all, man. I don't know. What was I going to tell y'all? I was going to tell y'all something. Damn, I forgot. I'm getting old. And the Juicy Juice might be creeping up on me. But anyway.
Juicy juice, not the juicy juice.
Oh, the Juicy Juice. It's like the fruit juice.
Nice.
It's got a lot of sugar in it.
The razzmatazz. Those have lots of sugar.
Yeah. So anyway, well, look, everybody that's in here, man, we got mad love, mad respect for you. I know y'all, it's like, this guy's long-winded. I'm sorry. I'm just up here having fun with Nick and them, man. I'm about to just do these last two clips, get out the way and have a backstage party or something. Bring some popcorn, some pig feet, some hog balls or something.
Did you just say pig's feet? No, sir.
I've had pig's feet.
Nah,
Probably.
Hey, listen, ain't nothing like the pig feet, girls. Ain't nothing like the damn pig feet. Pig feet, man.
Bring some alligator or some fried alligator and
pig feet, man.
We went to Walmart one time and they had a whole head with ears and snout and everything.
Legit. I bought my pants.
I took a picture of it.
Yes.
Oh, I remember where you are now. Never mind.
Ain't nothing like the hog head cheese. Listen, you ain't had no good food until you had hog brains with eggs on. Don't y'all get quiet.
Do not send me that recipe. I don't want that one.
Girl, I would fix that if you paid me.
That's where I draw the line.
I bet
Grandma used to eat them. My grandma used to eat them hog brains and eggs.
I bet you eat chitlins too.
Man, ain't nothing like some good hog intestine.
I ain't never done it.
Ain't nothing like it now.
I tried it. I did. And it did it. It kind of white. I was like a child. I spit it right. I couldn't do it.
What kind of consistency does that have? Is it like calamari consistency or like?
Listen, man, let me tell you what it's like. Look, let old Uncle Daddy tell you what it's like.
I'm sorry. I just gotta know.
Don't ever try.
Listen.
Oh, don't worry. I won't.
Uncle Daddy about to tell you. Don't listen to her. Let me tell you what it feel like in your mouth.
I don't think I want that.
It feel like you got a nice slug in there.
All right, then you lost me. So if it tastes like an oyster or anything like that, I'm done.
What you
mean? Done.
It's like a slug.
Nope.
You better get used to eating the bugs. In 2030, we're gonna have.
We going to eat the bugs.
Well, then I'll just be extra.
bugs.
We'll be dead.
I need you to beef up.
Excuse me.
You will eat the bugs.
Get that protein.
I do.
You gotta get that protein in you, girl.
Right. Somebody just
I can't say that. I'm not gonna say that. I do.
Like 2-3 weeks ago. Did you see that?
What?
Did you Taylor? Did you see where somebody I feel like it was somebody up in New York, or it might have been like the New York Post or Times or something, about cannibalism? Like cannibalism isn't.
Yes,
I did.
And they were actually saying it was okay.
The benefits of it.
Yes, the benefits of this.
And
whoa! Stop the cough. Hold on. Stop the cough for 1 second, please.
This is some
Breaks
great,
one time, man. Just hit
the
a
great redo.
Come on, man. Hold on. We talking. Wait. Okay, look.
Yeah.
Do I need to find that clip?
No,
But in 2030, you don't have nothing to be happy.
I'm just saying. Are we talking about eating people?
Yes, and it is a legit. It is from a legitimate site.
And when they talk about eating dog, they ate the zoo animals.
I stopped reading it. I couldn't go.
Yeah.
Any further.
Like Venezuela with stuff. Like when their government failed.
I think that might have been how it was titled.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
We talking about putting human beings in the frying pan, seasoning them up.
Like vampire style.
Come on, man. Wow.
Legit.
Okay. They
So y'all trying to go hang out with them?
No, that's why I went and bought some shelves to put in the garage for my foods. I ain't eating no bugs.
Come on, man. We go out there and get some night crawlers right now.
No,
let's go get us some night crawlers, Nick. Nick, come on, girl.
Oh no, I'll
night crawlers, man.
It tastes like chicken.
I'm a Southern girl. I'll go catch them for you all day long. They in the rocks and shit. I ain't gonna go fucking eat them. No, sir.
You gonna go catch them?
Mm-hmm.
Do they run from you?
Yeah, y'all season them up in the frying pan, man. That's good eating. Put a little bit of gravy on them.
No, I can make some gravy.
That's what I'm talking about. We got this thing in a bag. A whole endless supply of worms.
Make a plate that looks like spaghetti noodles.
No, look that
hair.
That was the one thing in high school biology I could not dissect. It made me sick to my stomach.
What?
A worm. The only thing I could not dissect. I could do a baby pig. I could do a frog. I could do like crawdads. All kinds of crazy stuff.
Y'all dissected the crawdaddies?
Yes, a squid. We dissected all kinds of shit.
You got me calling it funny. It's crawfish.
I'm gonna leave the cutting people open and looking in the inside. I'm gonna leave that part to y'all, cause I'm gonna let y'all have that. Y'all way stronger than I am. Okay, y'all got that part.
You didn't do that in high school.
I was absent that week. On purpose.
I get it. A lot of people were in my class too.
Nah, I cut open the frog and he looked interesting and weird on the inside. He did. I give him that. I wasn't too intrigued though. I want the inside to stay in there. I don't want to come. It's better on the inside. AC in the house. What's up, man? Hey, look.
AC.
Bruh, make sure you don't do what you did ever again last night. Don't you ever do that again. Okay? That's between us. I ain't gonna put you out there. Don't you do that shit no more. You know what you did.
You do.
Nick, how in the hell can you not remember? But don't say it out loud when you do remember that. Don't say it.
Flamingo.
Okay. Don't say it.
Flamingo.
My lips are dry as hell. What?
Flamingo.
I don't remember. I'm done. I'm finished, man. How in the world?
Oh, I thought you were talking to me.
I am talking to you.
Gotcha.
But I wasn't talking to you when I said don't. I said, AC, don't you ever do what you did last night. Ever do it again. Ever. I mean that shit. Okay? Pardon my language. I'm not having that up here, bro. Don't you ever do that to me no more. Okay? I'm not playing with you, bro. Anyway, listen. We're gonna go ahead and get through these last two clips because and y'all know me, I ain't trying to be up all. But this is fun, man. This is I enjoy this. Listen, I'm gonna go get with the face of black white supremacy. Okay, the black face of white supremacy. And I don't mess with this brother a whole lot, but when you become the national black face of white supremacy, you's a bad mamma jamma. I mean, you bad to the bone. I mean, he done stole the Coon of the Year. They done created a whole new award for that boy, Larry Elder. He's an icon in Coon Nation. I'm telling y'all now, don't be scared to say, hey, Coon of the Decade, Larry Elder. That's my Negro. You know what I mean? We're gonna check out what he got to say. Because you got to listen to that dude. Anytime you can become the breathing Clayton Bigsby, I mean, I'm talking about the embodiment of Clayton Bigsby is wrapped up in Larry Elder. He just got bigger lips and he got a little bit more weight on him. That's it. That's the only difference. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna play the clip right here though. Larry Elder, my mainest man, the blackface of white supremacy. Oh, this just got a ring to it. How the hell is you the blackface? These people make up some shit, don't they? Come on, my sisters. Is that not ridiculous though, man? Can y'all imagine walking around calling me, y'all brother, the blackface for white supremacy?
It's racist, if you ask me.
I was thinking
that's some horrible sounding stuff, man. I'm the blackface. I can't even fake that. I can't even joke. Here y'all look. We're gonna go and get into this Larry Elder clip. But if you pay attention to what Larry Elder talking about, absolutely facts. So here we go. You watching the Real Greg Keller Show. I'm having so much fun. I ain't doing none of my branding tags, and I can't even do it, man, because it ain't the same when I got my peoples up here. I ain't got to do nothing but kick back. You know what I'm saying? Pop some popcorn. Yeah, have a beer. Real Greg Keller Show. Here we go. The blackface of white supremacy.
FBI's head, Christopher Wray. He had a very interesting exchange with Senator Kennedy.
And it is totally.
And it's not about their political beliefs.
Right.
It's not about their political beliefs. It's about that. This is a senior employee at the FBI with years of experience going on social media and tweeting this kind of stuff.
So I have, since I started in.
Which gives the people the impression that there is bias, whether there is or there isn't.
I feel very strongly, and I have communicated consistently since I started as director, that our folks need to make sure that they're not just doing the right thing, that they're doing it in the right way, and that they avoid even the appearance of bias or lack of objectivity.
Now, that exchange had to do with the FBI agent who's in charge of the office that's conducting the investigation on January 6th, who tweeted all sorts of negative stuff about Donald Trump. And you heard what Kennedy said. You should be avoiding the appearance of bias. Whether there's bias or not, you should be avoiding the appearance. And you heard what Ray said. Well, I've always tried to make sure. Now, the press secretary, KGJP, was asked whether anybody at the White House was given a heads up about this FBI raid.
On a different topic, the FBI is serving a search warrant on the former president's residence in Florida. Was the president or anyone at the White House aware of that search warrant, or has anyone at the White House or the president been briefed in the aftermath of that search warrant being executed?
No, the president was not briefed, was not aware of it. No one at the White House was given a heads up. No, that did not happen.
You want us to believe something that's never happened before, where because of an alleged violation of the presidential records, FBI executes a search warrant and searches that president's residence. Nothing like that has ever happened. Even the LA Times said it was a very serious, big deal. You're telling me nobody mentioned it to Joe Biden? Maybe somebody mentioned it, he forgot. She was asked, the press secretary, whether or not this was not weaponizing the FBI.
Throughout his time in office.
I heard the quote. We will be playing the quote tonight at 6 o'clock. Is this administration weaponizing the Justice Department and the FBI against political opponents?
Peter, the president believes in the rule of law. The president believes in the independence of the Department of Justice.
That's a yes or no.
No, that is no. It's a yes or a no for you. I'm answering the question. You may not like it, but I'm answering the question, and I'm answering the question, and I'm telling you that we are not going to comment on a criminal investigation. The president has been very clear. I laid out what his thoughts were back on January 7th in 2021 about how he saw the Department of Justice. And I'm just going to leave it there. We're not going to comment from here, from this White House, on a criminal investigation that is currently happening.
A large number of people now believe there's a two-tiered system of justice. Two-tiered system of justice. And how can you not? The other day we talked about Hillary violating the Espionage Act. I told you about the gentleman I ran into at the airport who worked in documents in government. And he didn't think that was a big deal because he said Hillary lacked the intent. I said, read the statute. The statute does not require intent. And she sent and received classified information. And the head of the FBI at the time, James Comey, does this big presentation. At the last minute, said, what? She did this, she did this, she did this. She sent and received classified information. And we don't know whether or not that information had been hacked, but certainly the people to whom she sent stuff very likely had things hacked. So it was a big, big deal. And then at the last minute, he said, but she lacked the intent to violate the statute. And then you've got Eric Holder. Eric Holder was subpoenaed by Congress to turn over records pertaining to Fast and Furious. He didn't do it. And he was found in criminal contempt of Congress, the first and only sitting AG to be so found. He was taken to court by the Republicans, and the judge negotiated a deal under which those documents were turned over. Nobody raided his place. Lois Lerner. Lois Lerner was the head of the tax-exempt status section of the IRS, and she was denying the applications or holding up the applications of these conservative charities for a tax-exempt status so their donors could donate money and get a tax write-off. And nothing happened to her. So you've got Hunter Biden. The laptop story was dismissed by the media. And on the laptop, he refers to his father, the big guy, as getting 10%. So if Hunter is getting illegal funds, and we don't know that yet, and part of those illegal funds end up in the wallet of his dad, that means his dad illegally obtained money. As far as I know, there's no criminal investigation against Joe Biden. So this is the kind of nonsense that's causing so many people to believe there are two tiers of justice, one for people that the FBI likes, another for people the FBI does not like. Andy McCarthy is a former U.S. attorney. Here's what he said.
I think the Justice Department is under a lot of pressure, political pressure from the Democratic base to bring charges against Trump and the people who were working with Trump in connection with the events that led up to the Capitol riot.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting that political pressure plays a role in whether or not the FBI executes a search?
That's a real good question. I would love to get somebody's thoughts on whether or not there is any political benefit to the FBI trying to do their best to find charges on Donald Trump.
Dang it. I know, and I was going too.
And Greg didn't call you out, damn it.
Larry Elder's looking at me funny though.
I'm watching.
I was just what was I saying?
I don't know. But you was talking.
Oh, something about finding Donald Trump guilty before he's committed a crime. And all this investigation after investigation, they're just searching for crimes. And if they ain't found one yet, they need to stop wasting the American tax dollars.
I mean, but really, what if it's about trying to frame him? I mean, we know that's part of their functionality. They can do that. I mean, they have no problem doing it. They're really good at it. I'm looking at the timing, and I'm looking at how incessant the attack has been. It has really been incessant, over and over and over and over, over and over, over. I mean, I'm not even sure the man can go and take a real refreshing dump without, maybe there's a spy in there or something.
For real.
I don't know. I mean, he might have something glued to the wall, a camera, a little mini camera. Who knows? I mean, do they ever leave a man alone? And it's become so redundant at this point that it's just hard to believe that any of it's ever been true, which, I mean, they've been caught in so many lies at this point, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know how anybody believes this trash.
Well,
peanut brains.
With what you're saying about is it for political gain? I mean, look what they did right before 2020. look what they did immediately after Trump won. You know, everything that they do is absolutely for political gain. It's not for the people. It's not for their friends. It's not for their coworkers. It's not for the states. It is for political gain. It's all it is. It's a power grab at any way you look at it. It has to do with power, and if it's not power, it's money.
And it goes back to the beginning of the video when you were talking about how the FBI was constructed. And us as citizens, we viewed the FBI as being those loyal. I see him. Look.
Boogie.
Boogie. Boogie, boogie, boogie. Oh, cowboy.
Man, I want the food, man.
Look, she is like,
Callie sees Boogie.
She is on point. He's waiting. Oh, oh. Yes.
That doesn't sound too good back there.
Y'all send that to him. That's funny.
Yeah, that don't sound too good. Somehow somebody's not happy.
She is the funniest.
And it's not that she's not happy. It's like, I see one of my own.
Yeah, like she is the most.
Like, Boogie, can I come
He
play
is like a dog. Like dog. Oh, there's Boogie.
Look at him.
That's where you going nuts. Oh, you see him. Whoa, yeah. You see him. There she goes again. She just cleared.
So the blackface or white supremacy is telling on his own, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how they come up with this stuff, but I have no idea. Video. Here we go. We got a video.
He just now said that. Former AG Whitaker. Listen to this.
One of the things that is a question is why send 30 FBI agents to carry out 30 boxes, and how extensive did they actually search for the information they wanted, or did they just go grab anything that wasn't attached to the walls? And that's, you know, in this case, obviously, if they had particular things they were looking for, a subpoena could have easily accomplished the exact same, retention and grabbing of the documents that a search warrant could. So this is like you said, unprecedented and really shocking.
Again, the LA Times said much the same thing. We talked earlier about Trump's lawyer. She was there.
When I arrived and kind of announced myself as the legal representation for President Trump. I asked to see a copy of the warrant. Initially, they refused and said, we don't have to show it to you. And there was a little bit of an exchange about whether it was appropriate to withhold the warrant when you're searching the residence of the former president, who's likely to be the Republican nominee in the next election. So they conceded and let me see it. They did not give me a copy of it right away, but they did let me see it. It was very, I would say, thin. And as you can tell from public records, the affidavit, the supporting documentation of what the probable cause was to obtain the warrant has been sealed. So we're not allowed to see that. We have to go to court to request the judge to release that, which, may or may not happen. So we don't know what the probable cause is, why they were allowed to search, but they did.
But what were they looking for? Did that give you any indication? Were they looking for documents like we've been led to believe for the Presidential Records Act? Is that really the foundational ask on the warrant was for the Presidential Records Act, which has never been aggressively pursued or prosecuted in this country, not once since 1978 when it was put in place? Is that what they told you?
Yes. And yeah, that actually is. They also said that they were looking for classified documents, evidence of a crime as far as classified documents go. So they were looking for both classified information that they think should not have been removed from the White House, as well as presidential records. The irony of both, if you want to call it that, is that it is the president himself who gets to decide what is a presidential record. So why they get to redefine that is unclear, and why they get to search Why that's even in a warrant, it doesn't really make any sense. And the same thing with any potential classified information, which I don't believe there was any down there. We had done a search of it before and didn't find anything noteworthy. Yet I'm sure that they're claiming that there was something, terribly egregious, that's a grave matter of national security. But
so again, that goes right back to the game plan. This is what they intend to do. And what do you think? Is this? The biggest question that I have is this going to work? Because they can't try him in real court, so they're constantly trying to, judge him or leave him to be judged in the court of opinion. And they're laying it on thick as they can.
The thing is, if they had something on him, which they've had it for, they got enough time to look through it, right? They got all these people that's just scouring and itching to find something. If they had something, they'd show it to us. They'd tell us they had arrested him. It would be the best day of, the best day ever in democracy, right?
The day democracy came alive again.
Yeah.
Well, we've already had the day democracy almost died. So it's only fitting that if they actually get some real trumped up charges on Trump, it'll be the day that democracy came to life again. Which would imply that democracy died. And in essence, it did. It should stay dead because we live in a republic, not a damn democracy.
I was just about to say that.
Constitutional republic.
Anyway, the blackface is almost done. He is the blackest of all faces of white supremacy. And again, just the whole title just throws me off. It's so oxymoronic to even think that way. But nevertheless, these are the terms that these idiots come up with.
We'll find out.
I find that hard to believe.
I find it hard to believe, too. This could have been accomplished with a simple subpoena. You did not have to send a bunch of FBI agents. Jonathan Turley feels much the same way. He is a Fox News analyst. He's also a liberal professor who voted twice for Obama.
This was a finite amount of material. It was located in the residence. The subject was not even in the residence. Why did you require this battalion of FBI agents to descend upon the former president's home? So those are types of questions that will be raised. Now, this doesn't mean that there was not a basis for the application for the raid. There is authority here, obviously.
On the other hand, you can't work this out. Again, never happened before. Normally, when presidents take things that the National Archives say they shouldn't have taken them, you sit down, you work it out. And they were discussing. President Trump, as I mentioned, turned over, I think, 12 to 15 boxes of materials already. Clearly, there was some more that the National Archives felt that he needed to turn over. But you have to do this in order to get them. Now, the idea, again, is that behind the January 6th committee is that it's going to hurt Donald Trump's chances of running for re-election. And as we've mentioned, the polls show now that a fewer number of people now believe that Trump was responsible, and a greater number now believe that Trump had nothing whatever to do with what happened on January 6th. And Senator Graham believes that this raid is really going to help Donald Trump's popularity within the base.
Again, here we go again. I lived through Crossfire Hurricane. I lived through the Mueller investigation. The FISA court rebuked the Department of Justice for providing false information to the court to obtain a warrant against Carter Page. Is it plausible the same people would be going after Trump again 90 days before the midterms? So the pathway for President Trump to become the nominee is much wider now than it was yesterday. The likelihood of him being reelected is greater than it was yesterday, because if you got something that is really so compelling, you had to go into the man's home with guns drawn to get the information. Tell the American people, to every Republican listening to me, we should be clamoring and demanding answers to the questions of why they had to raid President Trump's home 90 days before an election.
To give you an idea of how enraged Republicans are, I give you the case of Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh is a former congressman from Illinois. And at one time, he supported Trump. But after Trump got elected, and all this evidence came out about Russian interference, and Trump refused to acknowledge that the interference altered the outcome of the election. He never denied the Russians interfered. But as far as Joe Walsh was concerned, the fact that Donald Trump did not acknowledge, in his view, that the Russians interfered to elect Trump made him turn against Trump. Here's what Joe Walsh said in 2016, in December.
So I spent a bit of time reading your tweets. You, sir, are angry. Tell me why.
I went on my tweet storm this weekend, Brooke, because I'm outraged at the lack of outrage, especially on my side, the Republican side. I get that the country's divided, but my God, a foreign government interfered with our election. That should piss everybody off. That should especially anger my side. And it's like, Brooke, because our guy won, Trump won, we're going to keep our mouths shut. I mean, that's just so wrong. The tepid response from Republicans.
So you, just so I'm clear, you believe the CIA assessment that yes, indeed, Russia's intent was to meddle to get Trump to win?
Oh my gosh, Brooke, there's no debate. It happened. I mean, again, not to parrot Hillary, 17 agencies said they interfered. This Washington Post report this weekend made clear it's a fact. And then for Donald Trump, I mean, everybody, look, all Republicans and Democrats in D.C. know that they interfered with this election. For Donald Trump to call it ridiculous and not believe it, he ought to be ashamed of himself.
Now, again, Donald Trump said what was ridiculous is the idea that the Russian interference put him there. He did not deny there was Russian interference. Anyway, that was Joe Walsh in 2016. Here's Joe Walsh yesterday.
The vast majority of Republicans are reflecting what I'm hearing every day, the last day or two, from Republican voters. I have never heard Republican voters this angry and fired up, and I'm behind Donald Trump now all the way. I haven't heard this in a long time. And you can bet those Republican office holders are hearing.
And you're hearing from.
Bit of a 180 now. Now, the judge who approved the search has donated in the past money to Barack Obama, donated it to his 2008 campaign for president, and also to $1,000 to his Obama Victory Fund. He also donated $500 to Jeb Bush's 2016 presidential campaign. Does not appear to be very fond of Donald Trump, the judge. He also was an assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of Florida from 1996 to 2008 before leaving his position to become a trial lawyer. Now, there's a law that says you cannot use information that you obtained in your job as U.S. attorney when you have your own private practice. And allegedly, he did that. He was accused of violating the DOJ's policies regarding switching sides. In implication, he used the information to win favor with his clients who were connected to Jeffrey Epstein. He claims he never represented Epstein, just his pilots, his scheduler, described by some victims as Epstein's sex slave. Anyway, Reinhart, the judge, was accused of using information that he obtained when he was a U.S. attorney to benefit his law practice. He denied it. As far as I know, he was never prosecuted. Now, I mentioned earlier that voters are increasingly believing that there are two tiers of justice. Nearly 80%, according to a recent poll of American voters, believe just that there are two sets of laws, one for everyday Americans and one for Washington, D.C. insiders. And 58.5% of voters now believe the federal bureaucracies in D.C., like the EPA, like the CDC, like the IRS, have grown too large and have become corrupt. Tulsi Gabbard is a Democrat who ran for president. And she said that this raid, as Donald Trump describes it, ought to be not just of concern to Trump, not just of concern to Republicans, but of concern to us all.
All right, Tulsi Gabbard, the bathwater queen herself, is about to deliver some very, very, very intense information. However, for my brothers and my sisters, or all my sisters, I'm the only brother. Has the IRS, the CDC, The WHO, have they all grown too large and too powerful? In your opinion?
Absolutely, without a doubt. Yep.
Almost as if the CDC make a recommendation that the government wants to implement it in law.
Exactly.
When the CDC itself is
not government.
It's not. And and to be honest, we experienced that for the past 2 years, 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, they're exercising some serious overreach. I mean, it's obvious at this point. And, you know, they have plans for the fall. They have plans for the American people. And this, you know, they seem to have these plans ready to go
They've had these plans
for the next crisis, for the next outbreak. Oh, they're ready to slap those masks back on your face and tell you to stay your ass in the house. Don't you go any damn where.
Yep, just look at China.
I ain't gonna be living in no coffin apartment.
In Australia. That's what we're gonna be.
No, that'll never happen.
They're going to try to pack us in like a bunch of sardines.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I fully believe good things are coming. I fully believe that with everything inside of me. But I think they're gonna try it.
Oh, we're gonna have to fight like hell for it to keep it.
Hey, excuse me. You cannot say that word here. You cannot.
The F word?
And you cannot say the flipping F.
Gotcha.
Hell around here. Okay, there can be no hell.
Look at the face.
I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know he had that. It got me off guard.
Talking about we got a hell.
We know that thing.
This is not good because I look a sailor.
Y'all have to do that thing to keep your things. You know,
Yep. Anyway, getting back down to it. So people can't keep talking about hell.
Right.
Tulsi Gabbard is about to lay down the piece. And this, we're coming to the conclusion here. And we're going to do one. I got one more video after this. I had two, and I'm going to do one. I believe God has a message for the country, and I'm going to share it. And then we're going to shut down the show. We're going to hang out for a minute here. But listen to what Tulsi Gabbard has to say. And by the way, you know, she is the bathwater goddess. You know, back in the day, you know, the old brothers would see a bad woman and be like, boy, I drink her bathwater. Well, this right here, this is the bathwater queen. I'm talking about this bathwater drinking some bit of water.
Is Tulsi Gabbard like
his political crush?
My Lauren Boebert?
Yeah, you're Lauren Boebert.
Yes.
But would you?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I would only drink your bathwater.
Ew. Well,
Thank you.
I won't take back.
It's a figure of speech. Ain't nobody going around with no straw.
Put cups at the bottom of the tub to collect your shower water. What you talking about?
Okay. All right. Listen. It's a figure of speech. Y'all know better.
Moving on. Let's see this.
Y'all know better than that.
Don't take her.
AC said Tulsi is Greg's hall pass.
Yeah, she gonna be the cover of my phone for long.
I think we're seeing coming from people across the country, regardless of their political persuasion. And I hope that those who aren't paying attention do take notice, because if you think this is just about Trump, you're wrong. This is about every single one of us as Americans, and this precedent that's being set of an abuse of power that's not even being hidden anymore. I think it maybe was happening behind the curtains, or maybe they were denying was happening. It is out in the open, in broad daylight, blatant abuse of power, targeting political opponents, targeting those who dare to dissent, and attacking our most fundamental constitutional rights and freedoms. So don't think this is about somebody else. Don't think this is about just people of one, political persuasion. This is about every one of us as Americans and protecting our rights and freedoms.
I keep waiting for Tulsi Gabbard to switch sides and become a Republican. But like Joe Manchin, there are a few kinds of things she says right, but she still is a tax spend, regulate Democrat who wants to expand government, wants a national healthcare system for everybody, single payer. So she's still a Democrat. But every now and then she says things that are very, very sensible. I mentioned earlier this law, 18 U.S.C. Section 2027. And some people are suggesting that if Donald Trump violated this about the presidential records, that he cannot run for office. And it says in here, a person who violated this is now, quote, disqualified from holding any office under the United States, end of quote. Again, I'm quite certain that this is clearly a violation of the Constitution. Why? The Constitution sets forth the criteria for running for president. You have to be a naturalized citizen, over 35. Some state can't pass some sort of law saying you have to do this, that, and the other in order for you to qualify. I ran into that when I ran for governor of California. A law was passed by the legislature out here that the outgoing governor, Jerry Brown, refused to sign because he felt it was against the Constitution. Incoming governor, Gavin Newsom, signed it. It required anybody who's running for president to, in order to be eligible to run for president and to get votes in California, you had to turn over 5 years of income tax returns. Now, this is before somebody stole Trump's income tax returns and made them public illegally. Trump, as you know, for years was refusing to turn over his tax returns. So California decided to punish Trump by making him turn over his tax returns if you want to qualify to run for office in California. So I announced my candidacy, and the law was written so broadly that in order to err on the side of caution, I also turned over 5 years of taxes. You have to turn over two sets. One set of about 700 pages, another set of about 700 pages. We turned it over. For reasons that I still cannot quite understand, one set had 7 pages missing. Now, the first set had the pages. The second set did not have the pages. All the Secretary of State had to do is look at the first set and find the missing pages. They were the last 7 pages missing, by the way. So you didn't have to look that hard to find them. But she then tried to disqualify me from running. So we sued. We made 2 arguments. First argument is that the statute did not apply to a recall. The second argument was that we fundamentally complied because all the Secretary of State had to do, as I said, is to look at the first set, find the 7 pages missing, and then pair them up with the second set. So we had a court hearing. It was on YouTube. You can watch it yourself. And the judge was a Democrat who'd gone to UC Berkeley, who was up for a judgeship by Gavin Newsom. Not real promising. And she ruled 2 things. She ruled that the statute did not even apply to Mr. Elder to a recall. And if it did, he substantially complied, and the Secretary of State could easily have corrected the 7 pages. And it was dismissed, and the rest, as you know, is history. Alan Dershowitz is also a left-wing professor, and he too voted for Obama twice. He too says that the raid was improper.
Going to go now to Alan Dershowitz, our resident attorney and expert. We've got this raid. Sir, it's good to have you on at Mar-a-Lago, the FBI at Mar-a-Lago. Your top line thoughts. We're trying to still piece together what this is exactly about.
Anybody, unless they can't get the information through subpoenas and other lawful methods. The raid is supposed to be a last resort. But this administration has used the weaponization of the justice system against its political enemies. It's arrested people, denied them bail, put them in handcuffs, used all kinds of techniques that are not usually applied to American citizens. And
this is a bold charge he's making, that the FBI has essentially been weaponized to go after people they don't like, namely Republicans, namely people in Trump's orbit.
I just hope this raid has a justification. If it doesn't have a justification, the material seized in it will be suppressed.
Any indications on your end what this is about, or are you just as blindsided as everybody else? We didn't see this one.
Well, I suspect it has to do with some investigations leading toward Donald Trump and some of his associates. But again, the law is clear. You don't engage in a raid unless you've exhausted all the other remedies, unless you believe that the person raided will destroy the evidence. Raids are not a first recourse in America. They're a last recourse. And so the government will have to show a court eventually that they exhausted all other possibilities, or they had a reasonable basis for believing that the evidence would be destroyed if it was sought in the normal legal course of events through subpoena. Raids are a last resort, but today, in many instances, it's being used as a first resort. The same thing is true with they're supposed to be last resorts. You write a letter to the lawyer saying, please show up in front of a judge, and that's the way it usually works. But in order to get on television, they have a lot of these raids where people are arrested, put in handcuffs, sometimes put in leg shackles, bail denied. Presumption still applies, but it's applied only in theory, but not in practice.
Again, Alan Dershowitz is a left-wing professor emeritus at Harvard, voted twice for Barack Obama. And he's saying this is absolutely outrageous, as did Jonathan Turley earlier.
Understood. Yeah, President Trump releasing quite a lengthy statement on Truth Social. Here's part of it. After working and cooperating with the relevant government agencies, this unannounced raid on my home was not necessary or appropriate. It is prosecutorial misconduct, the weaponization of the justice system, and an attack by radical left Democrats who desperately don't want me to run for president in 2024. Just wrapping it up, he basically says what you were indicating there, that this is, this is something that was not necessary, that he was cooperating. You said this should be a last resort. Maybe it wasn't, according to the president.
Yes, there's evidence that we're not. This is improper and it is misconduct. And we have to find out what the facts are, but we have to make sure that the shoe fits on the other foot, that we want to make sure that what's being done here is something that Democrats would not oppose if it were being done to Democratic operatives as well. I don't think it passes.
Now, when we come back, we're going to talk about Joe Biden's tax and spending bill and the fact that it authorizes 87,000 new IRS agents. Now, I want you to hit that like button, smash that subscriber button, and make sure you watch the show whenever you can, because we post excerpts every single day. Also, you can call the show, 888-971-7243, 888-971-SAGE. I'll be right back. Hope you enjoyed that video. The full show is available to watch right now.
Two standards of government, they're setting the stage for something big. In my opinion, they're setting the stage for their biggest play yet. You watching the Real Greg Kelly Show? I got Nick, I've got Taylor May, and the sugary one hanging out in the cockpit. I don't have any real words for this other than the writing's on the wall. We've seen what they make attempts to do and run false flag operations and do everything that they can to get people rioting in the streets. And what event could spark what they're really looking to spark other than Donald Trump's health suddenly failing or him just absolutely being wiped out, period? I mean, that would be the flashpoint of all flashpoints. Shots fired, the nation erupts. And if that's their end game, that's the play they make.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I said that, but I don't think I texted to you. Anyway.
No. I was reading something that other boss just said.
I'm just messing with you, Nick. I'm just messing with you.
No. Look, read that first. Read what you just said. Is that a real thing? Greg, question.
Mm-hmm.
Is there such a thing as Black August Business Month?
Yes.
That's the first I've heard of it. And apparently her too.
It's apparently a very glorious day for some and a Very, 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 very bad day for others.
I've never heard that. Like, how long has this been a thing? I mean, I've worked with her for 20 years. Oh.
But you know,
Anywho.
There's a lot coming down, you know, the spigot, so to speak. It's headed our way. And I guess I just want to be able to see it with my own two eyes. You know, at the end of the day, everybody's going to have to see it. Everybody's going to make their determination. But being on the side of truth and being on the side of right is important to me. And it just looks like they're setting the stage to do Donald Trump harm. And that gets them exactly what they want. And they're sending out all the necessary rhetoric and propaganda they need to keep the MK Ultra brainwashing program going like a well-oiled machine here in this country. So like I said, if anybody's believing this trash, anybody's believing this nonsense, I mean, something is seriously wrong. But again, nobody asked me, but I'm just saying, I mean, you can only cry wolf so many times before somebody say, hey, bro, come on, we ain't listening, man. Stop lying. Okay, knock it off. I mean, you can't keep doing this without raising some flags, without somebody saying, okay, these people tripping. All right. I mean, out of all the people that's been in office in this country, like, okay, he's got to be the worst. But when you look at the resume, he's actually been the best.
It's just how you tell the story.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just unbelievable to me, man. However, we're coming down to the close of this, man. I got a really good message here about this country and just some things that we need to pay attention to as citizens, as Christians. We can turn this thing around. And all we got to do is turn back to God. Nationally. And it was the great God of the cosmos that gave us this great land. And I mean, we got to own this right here. It has run amok on our watch. But again, we can still save the country. We can save America. We definitely got to pay homage to the one that created us and gave us everything we have. Final segment. It's a message. Another Tennessee preacher whose name I would not call. But just listen. You're watching the Real Greg Kelly Show.
America is now under the judgment of God. We're not close to the judgment of God. We're now under the judgment of God. The signs of that are not even debatable anymore. And I want to talk about tonight the one sign that tells us that we've come to the end. There's a testing and a time and a trial of the patience of God, but the patience of God has limits. With any society, historically, or whether it's our present day or whether it's throughout history, when perversion arrives at the schoolhouse door, then we have come to the end. We've come to the point where we've brought the judgment of God. We've actually, as a nation, tested the honor of God and the character of God. Remember in the book of Proverbs, he warned us. He said, don't enter into the fields of the fatherless and don't remove the ancient landmarks because the Redeemer is mighty. And he says himself, I will rise up and I will contend for them. And so we as a nation now have challenged the honor of God. I have no doubt about that. We've challenged his word and we said, Lord, if you are who you are, then you prove that you are the one. This nation doesn't believe that God will rise up and defend the children. I happen to believe that he will, that his word and his honor are at stake. And as a nation, now the physical nation, the boundaries of the United States of America will probably stay the same, but the nation as we've known it is about to radically change. perhaps even disappear from its 400-year history and become something completely other. It's sad to have to say this, but I feel in my heart that we've arrived at the place, and unless you think this ends in gloom and doom, it doesn't. There's a remedy for the righteous, for those who can still hear the voice of God, for those who have a desire, in a sense, to maybe not the strength, but at least a desire to get up and get out of this incredibly immoral, confused time that we're now living in. I want to show you the way out. I want to start with the book of Isaiah, in Isaiah chapter 1, where the people of God of Isaiah's day. Now keep in mind, this was a nation, the nation of Israel was established to be a praise to God in the earth, as I believe America was. When you know the history, the true history of America, you know that it was a nation founded on the cornerstone of religious freedom. A nation that was dedicated by its early founders to the propagation of the gospel of Jesus Christ, to righteous and biblical living. That was the purpose of the nation. And we would strive to bring honor to his name in the earth. Just as the people of Israel were set apart in their day to bring a praise to the name of God in the earth. But there's something in the heart of man called sin. It's this innate desire in all of humanity to go our own way, to do our own thing, to establish our own borders, to create our own rules, to determine in our own hearts what is good and what is evil, what is right and what is wrong, in spite of what God says, to literally, as Adam and Eve once did, to get up from under the ways of God and the words of God, and to create our own words, create our own righteousness, craft our own futures, and ultimately contrive our own utopian end. As foolish as it might be, that's what we do. And the prophet Isaiah, in speaking to the people of God of his time, the Lord says through him in Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 4, "Alas, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a brood of evildoers, children who are corrupters. They've forsaken the Lord. They're provoked to anger the Holy One of Israel. They've turned away backwards. Why should you be stricken again? You will revolt more and more." So the nation has gotten to the point in Isaiah's time of such rebellion against the ways and the words and the will of God, that God says, though I try to get your attention, whether it's through enemies rising up that seemingly have more power than they should have, whether it's through famine, whatever the situation is, when I strike you, it's a discipline from God to get your attention, to bring you back to righteousness. And in a sense, he's saying through Isaiah, I've done it over and over and over again, but all you do is revolt more and more and more and more. You've gotten to the point where you've become deeply resistant to the things of God as a nation. Now, I'm not suggesting everyone in the nation is unrighteous, so don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying there are not righteous churches in the country. I'm talking about the society as a whole. God is speaking about his people as a whole, as an entire society. The society of Isaiah's day has lost its purpose, as we have lost ours in our generation, although there are still righteous people in it. Overall, the overall trajectory of the society is away from God. It wasn't debatable in Isaiah's time, and it's not debatable as well in our time. He says, the whole head is sick and the whole heart faints. From the sole of the foot even to the head, there's no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. They've not been closed or bound up or soothed with ointment. In other words, God's saying, I was there with healing, but you would not come. I pleaded with you. I wanted to mend up your broken branches, wanted to heal you in those places where there are breaches, but you wouldn't come. You chose your own way. Your country, listen to this condition of the nation in chapter 1, verse 7, and just put it superimpose it as, in a sense, over this nation today. Your country is desolate. Your cities are burned with fire. Strangers devour your land in your presence, and it is desolate, overthrown by strangers. So the daughter of Zion is left as a booth in a vineyard and as a hut in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. So the people of God, the righteous of God, are huddling together. That's the picture, I guess, that's presented here. The righteous of God are not permeating the nation any longer, but huddling together in groups and most likely trying to retain a sense of godliness in the midst of all of what's going on. And a besieged city, hammered on every side, spoken evil against. Unless the Lord of hosts had left to us a very small remnant, we would have become like Sodom, and we would have been made like Gomorrah. And so Isaiah is saying, where God saying through Isaiah, it was only the righteous that remained in the nation, that kept it from going headlong into utter depravity. There's a whole lot more happening when you and I, happening for good, when you and I choose to walk in right relationship with God. You have no idea that the restraining force of God's presence is within our lives. If we choose to walk with God, if we choose to read the Word of God, if we choose to pray, if we turn away from that which defiles the name of Christ, there is an incredible pushback power against the powers of darkness in simply living a righteous life in this or any other generation. We look at our society today, and it's not even debatable that order has given way to confusion. Our government is confused. Who can debate that? Our society has gone into confusion. Our morality is being swallowed by confusion. Our economy is in a confused state. Our military are losing their military might and are more concerned with titles and pronouns and such like. And even now, we're starting to experience distribution and production of basic goods is now in jeopardy. They're talking about food shortages in America. And people are starting to notice that it's hard to buy cars. It's hard to get basic goods now. And it's going to get worse. People who are in the economic know in this country are warning us. They're telling us that it's going to get worse before, and they're not even talking about it getting better. They're just talking about maybe holding the standard and trying to stop the slide into the deprivation, in a sense, of basic goods and services that we come to take for granted over so many years. If you have the time, read Deuteronomy chapter 28 and listen to the warnings of God to his own people of what will happen if you choose to turn away from a living relationship with the living God. And everything we are experiencing today as a nation is in Deuteronomy chapter 28. As a matter of fact, it's unfolding in the sequence in which it is spoken. It's amazing. Just read it. Just study it. Look at the warnings of God. If you turn from me, this is what is going to happen. And you can see it, the order. We are actually following the same order of warning that is in Deuteronomy chapter 28, when God was warning his own people when he brought them out of captivity, was taking them into the land of promise, the place that they wanted to dwell in. He was taking them there, and he was warning them of what was going to happen to them if they turned from him. Now, the signs are everywhere, and they're now undeniable. I don't think there's anybody with a rational mind who's a believer in Christ that can deny the reality of the fact that we are now under the judgment of God has been released on this nation. There's no doubt about that in my mind whatsoever. But the only one, the one that leads me to believe that we've tested the limit of God's patience, is when perversion arrived at the schoolhouse door, attempting to make the innocents of this society partakers of grievous moral sin in this nation. When that happened, when they arrived at the door, that was the flashpoint of God's patience with former nations. And it is the flashpoint, in my opinion, of God's patience with this nation. What I'm saying tonight, I want to say it very, very clearly. I don't want anybody to misunderstand. I think the days of this nation are now numbered. I think we have tested the patience of God. I don't know what the future is going to bring, but I do know that as the people of God, the scripture says we're not in darkness that we should be overtaken by a thief. We're not a people of fear. We've been given of God power. We've been given of God the ability to love even in unlovable times. We've been given a sound mind to know that the world is not meant to be a picnic for the Christian. We were left here. We were told there would be tribulation. We were told that the world would at one day hate all of us because of the name of Christ. We were foretold of these things. They should not be taking anybody by surprise. But we were also told that we were going to be given the strength to stand, where we're going to be lights set upon a hill that cannot be hidden. We were told that we were going to be made into the salt of the earth, where we're going to be a testimony of the goodness and the greatness of our God, no matter what happens in our day and in our society. I believe that. The standards of God are the same. When we push God to the limits that other societies have pushed God, we can expect to see the judgments of God increase. And then, of course, as with the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, it comes to a point where God says it's gone on enough. This is the level of depravity that society can come to when we turn away from God. And human nature does not change. Human nature is the same. And this is where American society is heading today. We are heading wholesale at full speed into perversion. Deeper and darker perversion almost by the hour. You'll notice that perversion is at the door of the schoolhouse in America today. Drag queens reading stories to children in kindergarten. Unthinkable 10, 15 years ago, even 20 years ago, unthinkable that we would have to do this. Children being, in my opinion, deliberately gender confused by an agenda, an evil agenda of perversion, because ultimately a lot of these people want access to the children. That's the bottom line of the whole thing. They're now calling sexual perversion with children. There's a book out that somebody wrote, and it's called Minor Attracted People now. Now it's no longer sexual perverts wanting after children, but it's called minor attracted persons. They're now changing the language. We're living in an evil time, folks. Let's make no mistake about this. This is an evil day we're now living in. God help us. God be merciful to us. There's nothing we can do as the people of God but live righteous lives now and call out to the Lord and say, God, for the sake of the children. We remember when Pharaoh went after the children, that's when God sent Moses. That's when he sent a word. That's when his power was made known. That's when a way was made out of an impossible captivity. That's when the people of God were brought out of this evil place and they were brought in to, even if it looked like a wilderness, it was still the plan and the pathway of God to bring them home to himself. It was at this point. And you'll see that all throughout history, when the enemy goes after the children, that's the end of that society. That was the end of Egypt as a world power. It will be the end of any society that sets their hands against the fields of the fatherless, because God has decreed himself to be a defender of the fatherless. He said, you move those landmarks and you enter into their fields and I will rise up and contend with you. So anybody who's listening to this message today, make no mistake about it. As a nation, we have challenged the very honor of God. We have challenged the integrity of God in the time that we're now living in. You dare not rise up against a holy God. And those who sneer at this message, you will soon stand before a holy God and you will soon find out you don't play games with a holy God. When he says he will defend the children, he will rise and he will defend the children. And so what are we to do as the people of God? Especially tonight, those that are online that are struggling, marriages that are falling apart, people that are suffering with addiction and depression, and or even just mixture. There's so many of God's people that are living in mixture at this time. As Lot was a man who was in this society. The Bible describes him as righteous in the New Testament. But he had no effect. He had no influence because he was too mixed in the ways of that society. He was given to the thinking of the people of that time and probably the pursuits of many of the people. And they just considered him, he wasn't really the light on a hill that he was supposed to be. He wasn't the voice that could challenge this encroaching darkness. But suddenly the messengers of God came to him and came to his house like I'm coming to your house tonight. Whether you like it or not, if you're online listening, I am in your house right now. I'm in your living room. Wherever you are, I am there right now. The Lord has commissioned me to come to you. The Lord has commissioned me to warn the nation that we are on the edge of the judgment of Almighty God. But there's another thing. He has also sent me to everyone who's mixed, who's struggling, doesn't know how to go forward. He says, I am going to send a message to you, and all I want you to do is reach out and take my hand, the Lord says, and let me lead you out. You may not be able to, but God can bring your wife, your husband, your daughters, your sons out of the judgment of this present day we're now living in and into the mercy of Almighty God through Jesus Christ. And you would say to me tonight, Pastor, what is it that I'm to do? It's simple. Even if you do this gesture as an act of faith, reach out your hand into the hand of God and say, Jesus, I can't get out. I can't save myself. I can't change myself. I can't change my family. But God, you can. I believe you can. You sent a message to me, and I believe the message that you've sent to me. So I'm asking you now, Lord Jesus Christ, to have mercy on me, have mercy on my family, have mercy on my children. That is what the Lord is asking you to do tonight. No more, no less than that. Reach out your hand and say, Jesus, I need you. Jesus, I can't save myself. Jesus, I believe that you died on a cross 2,000 years ago, and you took the punishment for my sin upon yourself so that I could go free. Jesus Christ, I confess you as the Son of God. I confess you as my Savior. I confess you as the one who's reaching out to bring me to a place that I can't go to by myself. And I have decided that as your hand touches mine, I'm going to get up and I'm going to let you lead me where I need to go. I'm going to let you make me into the man or woman or young person that I need to be. I'm not going to try to do it on my own anymore because I can't. But oh God, with your hand in mine, I can. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can become the person that you have destined me to be. I can be brought out of captivity and into freedom in Jesus Christ. I can become a person that can make a difference in my generation. That is the cry of my heart. And let it be the cry of your heart tonight. My brother, my sister, you don't have to go down with this perishing world. Jesus Christ came to get you 2,000 years ago. He died on a cross. He made an open display of every power of hell that believes it has the right to take you and your children into captivity. He made an open show of it. And when he was raised from the dead, he took your captivity captive and gave you the gift of eternal life. If you will reach out and take it to yourself, if you will put your hand in the hand of the Son of God. Hallelujah to the Lamb of God. You don't have to go down with the ship. You understand? You don't have to perish with this society. You can have new life. You can have eternal life. You can have a meaningful life. Not just you, but your family. I believe that with all my heart. In the book of Acts, there's an old, dirty Philippian jailer who believed the gospel when Paul shared it with him and took Paul and Silas home. And not only was he saved that day, but his children, his wife, everybody was baptized. They all came to Christ because he opened his heart and opened his hand to the offer of God's forgiveness and the offer of change that God promises to those who set their affections on him. So that's my cry to you tonight, everyone who's listening online. You can turn to Christ and you can be forgiven and you can be free. You don't have to die in your sin. You don't have to sit on the side of the road and watch the society perish all around you. You can make a difference. With Christ in your life and with your hand in the hand of God, your life can make a profound difference in this generation, starting in your own home.
I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, saith the Lord, which is and which was and which is to come, the Almighty. He which testifieth these things saith, surely I come quickly. Amen. Even so, come, Lord Jesus.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. Woo! Sometimes you got to put something heavy on your plate and take a bite. Okay, y'all. All right, we down to the end, y'all. We down to the end. But what a pleasure it has been. What a pleasure. Had the family with me tonight hanging out on the other channel. I still can't get on my channel, man. These people blackballing me.
What's wrong with it?
They won't let me get up there. But anyway, they won't let me get up there. They don't want me to get my stuff. But I already have it. Anyway, it's always a pleasure to have you guys up here, man. And looking forward to doing a little bit more of that. You know, I enjoy the content, but I enjoy the fellowship even more. Even more. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Sugar Baby 1010, closing remarks. Anything you would like to leave the audience with?
One thing that Pastor said was, stand up and be the change and change for your generation. That's really deep if you think about that. And just put your hand in God's and let him let you be what you were destined to be, what he put you here. His will, not yours. Powerful.
Very powerful. Very powerful. Come on, I see you checking. Yeah, you next.
Who?
Yeah, next. Who?
Nick, he's talking about you.
Talking about all y'all. Closing remarks when we shut down the stream and.
I love all you guys. Thank you for all the prayers. Sorry,
Oh yeah.
I had a moment. So, but thank you for the prayers. I appreciate it, and I know what that does.
Well, darling, you are welcome. Everybody, remember to keep our brother in our prayers and our thoughts tonight. Nick, her family. Again, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to pray for each other and share one of those burdens. So we can help. Let us know. Be more than glad to.
Thank you.
Yeah. Final remarks.
Okay.
Thought you got away, didn't
Get on
you? Thought you got away.
Don't fall for the bamboozles. There's going to be a lot of misinformation, a lot of false flags, and we just can't fall for it. We got to make sure that we know we headed in the right direction and that everything that we do I just had a brain fart.
Keep your eyes peeled, man. Dog, and that's just keep your eyes open. There's a lot of smoke, a lot of mirrors with a lot of boo-boo smeared on it.
And you nailed it. There are a lot of smoke and mirrors right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes, a lot of good things that we're not seeing, but they're happening. We gotta keep the faith.
Yeah, and don't let those bad things outweigh the good things, because we are moving in a positive direction.
Yes.
I mean, from the Roe v. Wade to what was it? 7 out of 10 of those rhinos that voted for Trump's impeachment has been kicked from their seat. Like little small steps.
I mean, and you have liberals that are flipping. You have Democrats that are flipping to Republican or to conservative. I mean, good things are happening. We just have to be patient and be diligent and just pay attention to what's going on.
The hoodlums have a loud voice, but they have absolutely no direction. So we just need to make sure that, you know, we step on our feet in the right direction, not trying to stoop to their levels.
Absolutely. It's right. You got to stay put together, man. It's got to stay glued, because the amount of temperature that they're applying to the situation in the atmosphere, it can make your glue melt. All right. You got to stay glued together, and we got to stay together. Like I started it off. Look, if you're beefing with anybody that's in your circle, might be outside of your circle, but yeah, y'all believe in the same thing, squash it. And if they ain't got it up here to understand that you come in peace to mend the bridge, hey, you just keep your peace. Let them stay in chaos. Some people just love it. Some people just love it. All right. They just gonna love the chaos regardless. You can do good all you want to. They're never gonna think you're capable of it, but really they should just look in the mirror to see it's them.
Yes.
Not us.
Some people out there that's all they crave is chaos.
Yeah. So we about to be out of here. I got a message and a commercial. Remember this, man. I'm gonna start starting off the stream with one of these clips here. But this is the final clip for tonight's broadcast. Heavy stuff, man. Just keep your eyes open, and you'll see. You'll be able to see clearly as more time goes by. But here we go. A message from Donald Trump. I love y'all. We signing off after this. Peace. We broadcasting from the cockpit of truth. You know that. You ought to come and take a ride. Take flight with us. See you next time.
This is a time for optimism. Fear and doubt is not a good thought process, because this is a time for tremendous hope and joy and optimism and action. But to embrace the possibilities of tomorrow, we must reject the perennial prophets of doom and their predictions of the apocalypse. They are the heirs of yesterday's foolish fortune tellers, and they predicted an overpopulation crisis in the 1960s, mass starvation in the 70s, and an end of oil in the 1990s. These alarmists always demand the same thing: absolute power to dominate, transform, and control every aspect of our lives. In America, we understand what the pessimists refuse to see, that a growing and vibrant market economy focused on the future lifts the human spirit and excites creativity, strong enough to overcome any challenge by far.
All right, that's it. We going backstage after we take a ride with the music. We out of here.